Battaglia, Bills and the Sabres and the Amherst. Who gave a microphone to these jerks? Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. With Danger and Battaglia.
Hey, a very good afternoon to you, and welcome on in to Rochester's only local sports talk show. It's a sports bar with Danger and Battaglia. Glad you're listening along at 95.7 FM, AM 950, the Odyssey app, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, even on YouTube and Twitch. You can watch the sports bar during our live stream every afternoon from 3 until 6 on our channel, The Fan Rochester. I am Mike Danger. That is Gene Battaglia.
Ready for camp.
Oh, yeah.
Training camp.
Training camp over there at Fisher. And then after that, I'm going to take my kids over to get a milkshake at Pittsford Dairy. Yeah, we're excited. It's time. This is our community's moment in the sun. We showcase, Rochester as a community, and boy, it feels like the one time a year we're a minor league town, but it feels like we're a major league town for these few weeks.
Look, we clean up. We do. When the PGA comes once every decade, you feel a buzz in this town. And when the Bills come to Fisher, we all sit up a little more straight. So whether you're a Bills fan or not, I think you recognize the importance of having events like this. And you and I have a front row seat, buddy. And it's just kind of an honor and privilege just to kind of relay some of this. We're lining up guests. To me, it's my favorite 3 weeks of the year here. And also, too, if I can kind of put to rest one thing, kind of like a trend here, Danger. We had the Panther, and everybody came out with the Panther memes.
Rawr.
And then this week, it's like everybody enough of the Coldplay memes. I get it. That was funny for a minute. Talking to Mike Catalana today, and I kind of fell in his trap. I'm like, well, your summer's over. He's like, no, summer is still here. Like, you're going to hear people call them current football. Oh, my summer's over now. The football season's here.
Sure.
Or how your daughter, 4th of July, summer's over. Like, no.
Yeah.
Sit and enjoy. Sure, we're going to be out at camp, but we're going to be sweating. To me, it's just a different phase of summer.
My God. My daughter came up with the take a couple of years ago that after the last firework goes off on the 4th of July, summer's over. And I'm like,
realize I'm going to be thinking about that the rest of my life?
It's a great take, but
not.
I mean, it splits an audience. This is what she pulled yesterday. She dared say this to me yesterday. Now, I don't know how you spent your weekend. I hope you spent it on the water. I hope you spent it in the sun. I hope you spent it doing something relaxing. I did not. I looked at the calendar. I saw that I had nothing going on. Now, I could have taken that and been like, I need to relax, but I can't relax. I was just on vacation in Europe for 2 weeks. Everything in my backyard, everything in my front yard, everything's a shambles. I got to clean it up. I got a standard to protect when it comes to Chateau Dangereux. I was in that yard all day Saturday, all day Sunday. I'm pulling out stumps. I'm trimming back trees. I'm cutting down bushes. I'm doing all kinds of crap in the backyard that's just been, on the back burner now that I had the time. I walk into the house, and I am a mess. I am drenched, covered head to toe in just filth, dirt, debris, branches, shrubs, sweat. And my daughter says to me, "Isn't it great? Doesn't it feel like fall today?" I'm like, "Ooh. Doesn't it feel like fall today? Have you?" No, it doesn't feel like fall. I wish it felt like fall today. It does not feel like fall today. I've been busting my ass for the last 2 days.
They don't help Dad with the yard work, do they?
My little one did a little bit of work. We're moving pavers from one part of the yard to another part of the yard, and she was helping transfer some of the pavers over. So she did participate a little bit, and you can get them to do things, but you have to kind of work it out in advance.
Yeah.
You have to work it into their schedules.
See, both my kids now, they're not even kids anymore. We're at this transitional phase of okay, you're adults. Let's get ready to launch, hitting the launch button. Now they're all working 40 hours a week, which is fantastic. But they come home and they're tired.
Yeah.
They want to be. Hey, things need to be done around the house here
that's
too.
Right. Yeah, if you're gonna live here, you got to contribute, right? Yeah. So summer is not over, although some may want you to believe that it is. And we're not wishing it away, but it is nice to know that starting Wednesday, Buffalo Bills training camp gets underway at St. John Fisher, and we will be a big part of that, sharing with you everything that we see, everything that we hear, our daily reports, our guest appearances, our interviews. And I know you've got a list of people you think that the Bills are going to give us?
Oh, I didn't know we were bringing this to air.
We should bring this to air.
I think so, yeah. Like
I've got my list as well. We can compare notes.
This is where, so we're going to have 9 training camp shows, and we line up a guest every day, but it's the Bills PR department that, we put in our request. I mean, like, honestly, we would love to have Josh Allen 9 times there, but it's just not going to work out.
We had Josh Allen
9 times.
We had Josh Allen a couple of years ago. That was a surprise. I don't think either you or I were like prepared. We were prepared to talk to him once we knew we were talking to him, but I just don't think we ever go into training camp thinking, "Oh yeah, we're going to talk to Josh Allen."
I didn't expect Von Miller. That was one last year, knowing that Von had some things in the past that when he came on and he was gracious with his time. I had somebody reach out to me on X, Tony, one of our regular listeners, not one of your neighborhood.
Hey, of course he reached out to you because he's Italian.
I could pull it up here. It's basically saying like how much he enjoys these shows that are coming up, and we put a lot of work into this. And sure, this is something where if I had to guess who would be on, I don't know if we get Brandon Beane day one. He's going to talk to the media like 12:15, and he's just going to do, I think, in one shot that day.
Okay.
So I would guess Picuelli would come on.
Do you want to compare? Let's compare our lists. We'll do our lists. We'll compare side by side our 9 guests who we think is going to join us through the course of training camp at St. John Fisher. We're going to talk Buffalo Bills later this afternoon with Ryan Talbot covering the team for NewYorkUpstate.com. Also the Shout podcast. Ryan's always great with his time. Love his insight. Now we'll ask him what he's looking forward to checking out the most when we get to training camp here in a couple of days. And the future Hall of Famer will be stopping by the sports bar here later this hour. We're talking about Red Wings general manager Dan Mason. It's been a long time since we had Mason on with us.
Can we bust his chops a little bit?
Oh, absolutely.
It's like, okay, so is he sitting in the meeting like, Dan, we would like you to be in the Hall of Fame? Well, yes, I'd like that. Or did Dan suggest himself? For the
How
Hall
many
of Fame?
votes did Dan give himself to get into the Red Wings Hall of Fame? We'll talk a little Red Wings baseball with the GM of the team, Dan Mason, stopping by here at like 3:25 or so.
Yeah, Yankee fans, this is your week. This is I was over in that neighborhood today in Scranton Wilkes-Barre. They're already in town. I didn't realize they'd come into town the day before.
Yeah.
So saw some SWB gear around. I'm like, no, come on, get out of here with that. My rule is this: if you're a Yankee fan, that's great. Don't go to the ballpark cheering for the Yankees. You can watch a prospect. You can kind of...
You're a Rochester fan.
That's correct.
Yeah.
That's correct. I'm not rooting for the dumb Syracuse Mets because I love the New York Mets. No, that's not going to happen when they're playing.
But you'll watch them and say, oh, that's a prospect that's going to someday.
Correct, yeah. Oh,
but you're still
Brett
rooting
Baty
for
or
Rochester.
whatever. Yeah, right.
Yeah, I get it. You can join us at 866-4326. Our phone lines are open for you all afternoon at 585-866-4FAN. Do you have your list? Because I have your list.
Okay, I have my list. Okay. So I think... Day one, we're going to get Picuelli because there's a lot going on, and we need to kind of make sure that, first and foremost...
Got to talk about the stadium.
Got to talk about the stadium. We got to talk about getting those seats. If Picuelli comes on with us, just know that I got to press him a little bit about the Nighthawks, and are they in a good situation, and the Amerks for everything that, there's going to be questions that are Rochester related. I think the one guy we're going to get is a lock because we've had him on before.
Twice.
Why not third time for Cam Lewis, Danger? Cam Lewis, versatile. He actually played, I think, okay last year.
He was much better last year, much improved.
All right, this is where I'm going to go off the grid here a little bit. A newcomer we don't know anything about, but he's from Canada.
Oh.
Which means, all right, that should be okay. I'm going to go with Josh Palmer.
All right.
Josh Palmer, new wide receiver. Never had A.J. Epinez on, but he's good with reporters. I don't know why that is. So I'm going to say that's a first-timer we get on.
All right, so you're thinking Epineza makes his inaugural appearance into the sports bar. Okay.
You be the determining factor on this if it's a lock or not. Joe Andreessen.
I don't know that it's a lock.
I don't know if it is either just because do they view him? They're not going to give us anybody that they think is going to be cut. Rarely does that happen.
Did they do that? Well, what year did they give us somebody that was cut? They did one year. I think there was a one time where there was a player that we talked to that ended up not making the team. Andreessen feels like it would be easy for them to just say, like, oh, Buffalo Joe. I don't want to say it's a lock, but I can't rule it out entirely.
No. Very chalky. How about Ty Johnson? Could I interest you in Ty Johnson stopping by the sports bar?
I'm going to reveal my list here in a little bit too.
Okay,
So Ty Johnson. I mean, we're covering all the bases here. I feel like they like to give us somebody from each position group.
Correct.
Right?
So I'm thinking, okay, of the running backs, and understand this about James Cook. Okay, and I've dealt with James Cook during the season out at the stadium. Very, very professional, but just so soft spoken. He just it's not his thing.
Doesn't say much.
Not his thing.
I mean, if we were to map out questions for James Cook and say, all right, these questions will amount to maybe a 15-minute conversation. With James Cook, it probably amounts to a 7-minute conversation because he's just not very. He practices an economy of words. He doesn't say a lot.
That's fine, and I'd rather have somebody just not if you. Not interested. If it's not your thing, that's fine.
Yeah, they can't all be Rembrandts.
Okay, 2 veterans we never had on the show, but I think they're going to, be key components. Obviously, one guy's a starter, David Edwards.
Mm-hmm.
You got to have somebody from the old line. Last year we had McGovern. How about Dane Jackson? I think Dane Jackson, hear me out on this. If he's not corner 4, he's going to assume that Josh Norman role, meaning he's on the practice squad. He's going to get called up here for a game or two. Reason why, there's one thing Dane Jackson can do is he can tackle. So if you can tackle, you're okay in Sean McDermott's book. And this is the shocking one. I say we get Joey Bosa.
Oh.
I say if he's healthy, right from the get-go,
wow.
Joey Bosa never really, was he doing sit-downs with, is there a Charger media, anything? Honestly, I think that would be somebody that, if they asked us who we would want to talk to, that's somebody I would love to learn more about. You almost forget that Joey Bosa's on this team. All right, that's my 9. Who is the magic 9 for Mike Danger?
Let me give you the names that I agree with. I think Welly's a lock. I think Welly comes in probably day 1, maybe day 2. I also believe that Cam Lewis will come in for the 3rd time into the sports bar. So I agree with you on that. I also think there's another player that will join us for a 3rd time in the sports bar, and that would be edge rusher Gregory Rousseau. I think Groot stops by the sports bar again this year, and what's great about talking to Rousseau every year, I feel like every year we've talked to him, the last 2 years that we've talked to him, you can see a little bit of growth, a little bit of maturity, and I'm excited if that actually comes to fruition, and we have the opportunity to talk to him again. What does that sound like? Now that he's got his extension and he's committed to playing in Buffalo. I'm going to go with the offensive line representative being a guy that we've had on with us before as well, in Connor McGovern. I think you get the center out there. He's a guy that we've talked to in the sports bar before, and I think we'll get him again this year. As far as the secondary is concerned, give me Cole Bishop. I'm going to go Cole Bishop in year 2. Give me a little Cole Bishop. I like to see what Cole Bishop, and I would also entertain the idea, instead of Cole Bishop, potentially, Dalton Kincaid. Is Dalton Kincaid going to get in front of it? Are you going to hear from Dalton Kincaid about the offseason? He's already done some media. We talked to Ty Dunn last week. Yeah. Great article there at Go Long TD. So I'm gonna go with Cole Bishop there, but I would also substitute potentially Dalton Kincaid. Dorian Williams? Can I interest you in a Dorian Williams conversation?
I don't know how good a quote he is.
I don't know either.
Yeah,
I just feel like
he's somebody that's kept a low profile up to this point.
I feel like as they kind of introduced Terrell Bernard more into the culture of their defense, we heard from him more, and I'm curious as to whether or not we'll get that with Dorian Williams. You said Ty Johnson. I'm saying Ray Davis. I want Ray Davis.
Ray Davis
does tell a good story.
Ray Davis, if you're not familiar with his story, that would be a riveting segment in the sports bar. So I'd love to have Ray Davis on.
You say Palmer, I say Elijah Moore. Because Elijah Moore can paint a picture of what it was like with teams that are dysfunctional, the Jets and the Browns, versus what it is now with the Buffalo Bills.
I chose Palmer over Moore because Palmer, with what they're paying him, 100% he's on this team. More danger. We've got to see more than drills around traffic cones. I'm sorry. But Moore would be a great guest.
Well, my 9th. This is my wild card. This is the year we get Sean McDermott.
Oh, get out!
This is the year we get McDermott on with us.
No way.
Over under.
Dude, if he heard McDermott, McLies, any one of our little bits,
do you think he would? Honestly, do you think he would be upset, or do you think Because this is new Sean McDermott we're talking about here. This is not taking myself too seriously, more open with the media, sharing more things, talking more openly about stuff. Do you think we said, Sean, we get it, man. We poke fun at you because we know you have to say the things that you're saying, but you're not being truthful.
I would think Sean McDermott on the last day of camp stopping over and just talking about camp and how much he loves Rochester and everything would be fantastic. Now, if I may.
Yeah.
Because some people have heard this story before, but if you're new to the sports bar, maybe you haven't heard. I mean, some of our best show moments happen while we're out there in the middle of training camp. And there's one time we're in the middle of happy hour. So here's the thing with happy hour, or when we're doing our show in the afternoon. Hey, practice is in the morning, and by mid-afternoon, it's pretty much cleared out. But the players are around. Things that are happening that really we're not, walkthroughs we can't kind of report on. But there's really nothing happening. So where we are, the Pelicano Pavilion, that's where it's right on the other side of the stadium in the artificial surface. And I look out, and Danger's looking to me. Behind Danger, maybe 30 yards away, with the sun hat on. I'm like, oh, my gosh, it's McDermott. And we're within earshot. It's a little unnerving when the coach is kind of listening for our takes on whatever it was, the news of the day and, positional battles and all that stuff. And he's listening. And then he, I'm making eye to Danger, turn around. And McDermott's there listening, and he doesn't kind of acknowledge us, and he walks away. And I'm like, wow, that was kind of different, having the coach just kind of listening to what we say, all right? Very next day. This one is much closer, this encounter, because if you're, again, familiar with the Pelicano Pavilion, they have the VIP tents. And I just happened to turn around, and this time it's only like 10 yards away. And this time I make eye contact with the coach. I'm like, oh, okay. And I'm motioning to Sean, hey, come on up. And then puts his head down, walks the other way.
Yeah, I imagine you can't get that guy to break routine during the season. Like, he's going to be regimented. He's not going to deviate. It's not like it's going to be impromptu. But we know that he makes the rounds. We know that he spends some time in our pavilion when we're broadcasting live. I'm not going to say it's an impossibility. I'm just going to put it out there. That would be the wild card for me. Will this be the year we talk to the coach while we're at training camp? But neither of us have Bean, and Bean has been the lock. Bean has been the guy we talk to every year.
Yep. I think from a business standpoint, having the message of give us an update on the stadium. This is the biggest project in the franchise history, you could say, in Western New York history, for crying out loud.
Well, that's why we get Goelli on with us. But Bean, and I imagine McDermott, Bean, famously earlier this offseason, put WGR on blast when he was on hold waiting to talk to them about, them talking about the wide receivers. I don't think these guys are now so comfortable in their roles and in their standing and know that they've done so much in terms of building a winner and turning things around from where this franchise was to where it is, that I think they've got that swagger now. And they do kind of, I don't want to say they let their guard down. They're just a little bit more human now. And they're pretty like, oh, you're going to say something? I'm going to say something back. And
which is great.
Yes.
Listen, if we are off base, if you think we're wrong, we're not looking to pick a fight. But in the instance that you were referring to, like Bean saying, hey, wait a second. And I think Bean's point was, we have Josh Palmer. I know Elijah Moore is going to get signed, which he did the next day.
Yeah.
Hey, stop. We addressed the defense this year.
Right. And so I'm kind of like looking forward to, if we get the opportunity to either talk to Bean or McDermott, and I know McDermott's a long shot. It hasn't happened in all the years that we've been there, but I like to just throw it out there just to see. It's more relaxed, it's more comfortable, and hell, you don't even have to really twist their arm, especially Bean, to let his guard down. I mean, we remember the conversation at training camp where he was talking about how it's great to get away and you don't have to deal with your everyday stuff. These guys are loose and relaxed. The reports are that they were already golfing at Oak Hill over the weekend. I mean, these guys, they're going to come in ready to get to work. I mean, the vacation's almost over, and then it's all business once we get to Wednesday.
Yeah, the one thing that is different, obviously, the camera's going around, and I'm trying to envision what that might be like, and I think it's just going to be white noise. You'll notice it the first day it's there, and then you won't.
Yeah.
And then we're all okay. Whenever the first episode will debut, we'll kind of watch it together.
We'll get to more Bills talk with Ryan Talbot, NewYorkUpstate.com, and the Shout podcast. He's stopping by the sports bar right around 4:25. Joining us next, the general manager and future Hall of Famer, the Red Wings, Rochester Red Wings, Dan Mason, stopping by the sports bar next on The Fan.
You're listening to the update.
Bills camp may open up in 2 days at St. John Fisher University. Veterans reporting tomorrow. Titans quarterback Will Levis out for the season. Levis with a shoulder injury. Rochester Red Wings off on a Monday. They open a series at home tomorrow against Scranton Wilkes-Barre. We'll talk to the future Hall of Famer, General Manager Dan Mason, joining us next year in the Sports Bar. Big series up north tonight as the Yankees and Jays start a 3-game set. Aaron Judge knows this is a tough opponent.
They're a good ball club, so they've been playing good ball all year. So, anytime you play in the East, especially the AL East, it's going to be a gauntlet. Every team's usually always in it, so you got to be ready to go.
Toronto with a 3-game lead in the division. Sports brought to you by GetMyPerks.com. Get a $50 certificate for half price to Lasertron. Gene Battaglia, The Fan, Rochester.
Top Shelf Sports Talk. You're hanging out in the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
Welcome back into the Sports Bar. It's Danger and Battaglia. Joined in studio by a future Hall of Famer, the great general manager of the Rochester Red Wings, Dan Mason, stopping by. Mace, it's good to have you on with us, man. It's been too long.
No doubt. Great to be here, guys. Thanks for having me.
All right, Dan, so who breaks the news to you that you're going into the team's Hall of Fame? By the way, congratulations, buddy. That's
Thank you very
fantastic.
much. Who did do that? I'm trying to think. Well, we have a Hall of Fame committee, and we had a meeting, and I was asked to leave the meeting, and then came back, and they gave me the good news.
We would like you to leave the meeting so that we can talk about you behind your back. But all good things, and you end up in the Hall of Fame. What was the vote? What's the voting process? So it's just a vote within the committee there? And
correct.
Normally you would be a part of that. So
I'm actually not a voting member of the committee. I just am at the meetings to kind of keep it moving, to kind of run the meeting. But I'm not I don't actually get to vote. So it's just the voting members, and they voted, and I appreciated them asking me to leave. Most people talk behind my back right in front of me. So it was kind of nice that somebody asked me to leave.
Dan, he doesn't do it anymore because he's not involved with the Pro Football Hall of Fame, but the analogy here is David Baker. Remember the big guy? He'd go on set, and Jimmy Johnson, you're the Hall of Fame. Always amazed me how, Jimmy Johnson, you're going to the Hall of Fame, driven to tears, and Bill Cowher breaking down to tears. What was that like for you emotionally when this is your life's work, and you're now going to be forever enshrined?
Yeah, I honestly, I still feel really kind of weird about it because I don't want people to think I'm retiring, and because I got a lot left in the tank. I know I look like I'm 104, but I'm not that old, and so it's a great honor to be included, especially with the same group as my mentors, right? Like Naomi Silver, who's a tremendous mentor and like a fourth sister to me. I have 3 sisters in my real family, so she's been just incredible to me over the years. Joe Altobelli, who's been like a second dad to me. And then, great friends and mentors in Elliot Kerwin and Gary Larder. So, to join the ranks of those 4 people who've meant, so much to me personally and to my career, but also, people like Cal Ripken and, other buddies of mine like Jeff Manto and PJ Forbes and Howie Clark, just to be in that same group, it's incredibly humbling.
Red Wings general manager Dan Mason joining us, about to be inducted into the Red Wings Hall of Fame. And when you look back at your Hall of Fame career, is there one specific highlight? I mean, I imagine the Governor's Cup was probably up there, but I mean, it feels like, not to talk bad about the success of the team with wins and losses, but it feels like forever ago. Is there one thing that you can put your name on, your stamp on, and be like, yeah, that's one of the things I'm most proud of during my tenure?
I don't know if there's really one thing, and just for the record, I don't have anything to do with the wins and losses. A lot of people out there think that I have something to do with that, and they start throwing ketchup and mustard at me at games, and our major league affiliate has and always will control what happens on the field. Our job as a front office is to make sure that people, when they come to the ballpark, they have fun. Winning obviously is more fun for us in the front office, but we can't control that. So we try to make it a great time for people, whether the team is playing well that particular night or not. So in terms of picking out one specific game or event, it's really hard to put your finger on it. But I would say, like, closing down Silver Stadium and opening up what was then Frontier Field is now Innovative Field.
Yeah.
I think those two events are always going to be ones that stick out to me, right? Because it's once in a generation that you close a stadium and once in a generation that you open a brand new one. And to do both of those in back-to-back years was just an awesome responsibility, not only for our team, but for our whole community. Everybody's looking at you like, okay, what are you going to do about this? And, so that was a really, it was an awesome undertaking and something I'm really proud of. The people that were on our front office at the time just did an amazing job on those events.
Yeah, gosh, Senior SWAT. 1990, you remember?
Domingo Martinez.
Yeah, that's it. Dan Mason, our guest here in studio. Dan, you've been here that long. You have so many connections. When this news goes out, how many people did you hear from? Who did you hear from? Anybody you hadn't heard from in a while congratulating you?
Yeah, like I said, it's really humbling, guys. And it's been I've heard from a lot of people since the news broke, and it's been really fun to catch up with a lot of people that have meant a lot to me over the years. And so it's been really cool to hear from people from all around baseball and our town, right? Like, you guys are just like me. You've been here for a long time, and you make a lot of relationships on a lot of different levels, and with clients and with people that you've worked with, and it's no different with me. And so to hear from a lot of those people that have had a big impact on my life, it means a lot.
When they name the coat rack in our building after me, I'm going to be really excited. Nowhere near the honor of Hall of Famer for the Rochester Red Wings, Dan Mason, joining us. You mentioned that the transition from Silver to then Frontier Field, what an awesome responsibility it is. But the responsibility also of now maintaining Frontier Field, enhancing Frontier Field, and some of those enhancements we're seeing as recently as this season. Talk a little bit about what's been going on, because I know if you're a casual fan or you're not a baseball fan and you drive by Innovative Field, you can't help but notice this giant structure where the VIP parking lot used to be.
Yeah, it's been a really exciting phase of Red Wings baseball to be a part of. A few years back, Major League Baseball came out with these new stipulations for all teams in the minor leagues to meet if they wanted to keep their team. So through the collaboration with the New York State and Monroe County, we were able to get the funding to do these projects that we desperately needed to do in order to stay viable here. And so we've renovated the visiting clubhouse. We added a female locker room. We renovated the umpires clubhouse. We renovated the Red Wings clubhouse to include all the amenities that we had to in order to keep our franchise. And then one of the things that we needed to do was create a space where we could have 2 batting cages and a weight room. And so we did that. That's that building that you see out in the VIP parking lot right now. And it came out just fantastic. And it's better than what most major league facilities have right now. It's amazing to hear the feedback from visiting teams and our roving instructors, and they'll come in and say, like, geez, this is better than what we have in D.C. at Nats Park.
Yeah.
Or the visiting players love it. The visiting coaching staffs love it. And of course our guys are loving it as well. So it's been a really great enhancement to Innovative Field to keep us not only on par with everybody, but to help us become one of the premier destinations in AAA baseball.
Rochester Red Wings General Manager Dan Mason joining us. Scranton Wilkes-Barre. I drove by today. I'm like, oh, they're already here warming up today. I want to ask you about that, but then first, a promotion that's coming up. I think you're on to something with this white hot thing, and you're wearing the hat
nice
right
hat.
now. Yeah, like, I mean, is this Plates 2.0? Do we have? Because I hear people, they're saying August 20th. That's the game we want to go to.
Yes, that's exactly. What we found really when we did the plates back in 2017, we really knew that we struck a chord. And what we did was we knew that there's a lot of people in Rochester that have tremendous pride in our community. And we wanted to be an avenue for them to show that pride. And when we had launched the plates back then, we had no idea that it would become such a a national phenomenon because people that were born and raised here or went to school here loved having plates at late night, and they wanted to get their hands on this swag, and so we sold plates gear to all 50 countries and 11 or all 50 states, I should say, and 11 different countries, right?
Wow.
And the White Hots has had that same kind of impact because it's something unique to Rochester, and people love Rochester.
We say it all the time how provincial we are. So when we see players that once played with the Red Wings doing what they do at the bigs, we claim them as our own. Is there somebody that you're still monitoring, paying attention to? I mean, I imagine Wood's doing what he's doing with the parent club has been fun to watch since we just had him here as recently as last year.
Oh yeah, James Wood is having a phenomenal season. He would have won the MVP for us last year if he had stayed here the whole season. But I think if you look at that whole entire Nats roster, right, almost all of those guys spent time here in the Flower City. And while they're not winning as much as, we would all like them to right now, in a few years, they're going to be a really exciting team. And I look back at, think about how good the Tigers are right now and think about how bad they were about 5 years ago, right? And I think there's a lot of similarities in what we're seeing because that team in D.C. right now is so young that they're poised to do some great things here in the next few years.
We'll talk about that for a second because we joke about the Pirates. Like we look at a team like the Pirates and just more philosophical than anything. When you could say what you say about Washington and we could say in 5 years that's going to be a fun team to watch. We've seen what's gone on in Detroit. What prevents a team like Pittsburgh then from doing the same kind of thing? I mean, you have arguably the most exciting pitcher, one of the most exciting players in the game, but you just know that this is a team that isn't going to get over it anytime soon. And my joke is, and it was a joke at first, I said it tongue-in-cheek, but then it became an actual, like, when are they going to trade Paul Skeens? Is Paul Skeens going to get traded? Because you're never going to pay that guy what he's actually worth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think at some point the ownership of the Major League team has to, like in Pittsburgh, they just haven't been willing to make that commitment to surround guys like Skeens with other pieces, right? But I think in D.C. that's not necessarily the case, and I think they have so many other guys like James Wood, Dylan Cruz, who's been hampered with injuries this year, but he's going to be hopefully in a Red Wings uniform here in the next month or so.
Cool.
So we'll get a chance to see him again, but CJ Abrams is one of the better shortstops in Major League Baseball right now. Brady House, who was here most of this year and the end of last year, he's going to be a really good third baseman in the big leagues. They just have a lot of pieces. It's not just James Wood or it's not just Dylan Cruz. They got a lot of other guys. Mackenzie Gore is one of the, he could win a Cy Young, a guy who used to pitch here. So I think they have a lot more complementary pieces than maybe the Pirates do.
Yeah, third time the Nationals picking number one overall. The other two guys, dangerous, Steven Strasburg. You've heard of Bryce Harper. And now Eli Willits, who signed over the weekend. He's 17, Dan. So, and again, you mentioned you don't have nothing to do with player personnel or anything, but did they give you any idea when we might see this kid here in Rochester?
As a high school draft pick, I would say, it's probably going to be probably 4 years.
Wow.
But you never know. It just depends how he develops, right? And I will say this, it's not, when I first started in this business, guys would stick at one level for a lot longer than they do currently. You would be in AAA for almost the whole season or AA for almost the whole season. Now, if you start to have success after a month or two, then you got a good chance to go up. If somebody gets hurt or if it's just, if you're the best guy on the roster, then you're going to go up. It doesn't matter like it used to, where like you still got to pay your dues a little bit. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That doesn't happen anymore. So the progression, guys make it to the major leagues a lot faster now than they did even 10 years ago.
Rochester Red Wings Hall of Famer Dan Mason joining us in the sports bar, Danger and Battaglia. We were talking off air about how summers are too short and we should take advantage of the time that we have. And knowing that, with that in mind, I mean, we've got, kids going back to school after Labor Day, so we got about like a month and a half. Let's make the most of this time at Innovative Field. Dan, tell us a little bit about what's still left on the schedule. We talked about the White Hots already, and then we know that that's going to be a big night for you and for the community. What else do we got coming up?
Oh, we got a lot of great stuff, and for the whole promotional schedule, you can go to redwingsbaseball.com. We have 24 more home games, and now keep in mind, we start with 75 home games.
Yeah.
So we've only got 24 left, which is 4 6-game homestands, including this week. We start tomorrow, Tuesday through Sunday, against the New York Yankees, top affiliate, and they are loaded right now. So they are playing really well in the International League. Got some big prospects as well as some kind of veteran guys that have been up and down. So they'll be a fun team to play against. We've got a great giveaway on Wednesday night. We've got half-price tickets tomorrow night. We've got Wednesday night we have a jersey giveaway. Afternoon baseball, 11:05 in the morning. So we'll see you guys over there before your show here.
Like that.
On Thursday. Friday night is our Survivors Night, the Superstars and Fireworks Saturday. We've got, what do we have Saturday? We got fireworks definitely on Saturday. And Sunday we have our T-shirt giveaway, our Big League Chew T-shirt giveaway. One of the artists from Big League Chew drew up a guy what he would look like on the cover of Big League Chew if he were a Red Wing. It's really cool, and we'll be giving those away on Sunday. So
Big League Chew always had that danger trying to act cool.
Big League Chew is the best. I won't listen to anybody. No slander on Big League Chew. It's the absolute best, and it's timeless. It's still out there. It's still a thing. Everybody still loves Big League Chew.
Yeah. And Saturday is also Christmas in July, so we got fireworks and an ornament giveaway on Saturday.
Dan, where do you come down in this? Because I think it's fair to say, in terms of major league teams in Rochester, the one that has the most interest is the Yankees. You're going to get people out there cheering for Scranton just because they're Yankee fans. If there's one pet peeve of mine, you set that aside. You can go watch the prospects. You can say I was there to see. And last year it was Rice along with the Martian, and you had some guys coming in there. Everybody remembers it was Garrett Cole. But to me, you're going out to a Red Wing game and you're from Rochester. You got to put those loyalties aside, not just for the Yankees, but for any team that comes through.
Well, Gene, let's just say we share the same annoyance. But, I'm happy for people, whatever reason it is that they come out to the ballpark, I'm happy. But if you're from Rochester, New York, why would you be cheering for a team from Scranton, Pennsylvania? Right? I get it. If you're a Yankee fan, you can still be a Yankee fan and come out and cheer for the Wings. I get it,
Yeah, doesn't make any sense. Dan, it's great having you on. Congratulations on the incredible honor. And just to clarify again, you're not going anywhere. This is long overdue. You're entering the Red Wings Hall of Fame, and I can't think of anybody more deserving with that honor, given everything that you've done for the community, for the organization, and just the experience that you get at Innovative Field. I mean, anytime you go, you're going to be treated with class. You're probably going to shake hands with Dan because you're shaking hands with everybody when you're there. It's a great experience.
I wanted the video of somebody breaking. You guys do such a great job with your videos. Somebody breaking the news to Dan and. Dan
Did you get emotional?
Yeah.
You got emotional, didn't you?
Yeah,
had to have gotten emotional.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, but like I said, I feel weird about it. I really do. I feel weird about it.
Well, it's humbling, I imagine.
Yeah, very, very, very humbling. So
Notre Dame football, real quick.
Let's go.
Freeman, are they getting back? What do you think here?
We have 40 days to go, Gene. 40 days to go.
What did I see cross my feed that you've got like the spawn of all of these former NFL stars all committed to Notre Dame? Like I'm
Bettis' son. Yeah. Plexico Burris' son.
Right.
Brian Urlacher's son was there, but he just transferred. Larry Fitzgerald's son just committed to the Irish. There's Marcus is putting together a big-time recruiting class, the likes that we haven't seen since I was there when Coach Holtz was there, which was when Bettis got recruited, and Mike Stonebreaker and those guys. So Todd Light, Marcus is recruiting his tail off.
I wanted
it's
Marcus
so cool.
in Chicago so bad. When
No,
the Bears
no,
were
JJ.
looking, the Bears were looking for a coach in January, Gene Holt,
I know,
said, "Oh,
yeah.
I want Freeman. I want that guy so bad." That's a leader of men. That's a guy. If you put him in the locker room, you're going to run through a wall for that guy. I wanted that guy so bad. I mean, I'm not going to complain about Ben Johnson. That's going to be okay. But the way Freeman coaches those guys, you just know that guy is a leader of men.
He's a culture changer.
Yeah,
culture builder, I should say. And everybody in Irish Nation is very, very excited about what he's building out there right now, and just you can tell that when you alluded to it, when an All-Pro, when an NFL Hall of Famer wants his son to play for a certain guy, that speaks volumes, right?
Yeah.
And not just guys that went to Notre Dame, guys that went to Michigan State, one of our big rivals,
Sure.
Guys that went to Georgia,
Pitt.
Yeah, Pitt. They want their kids to play for Marcus Freeman and his coaching staff. So it's exciting times to be an Irish fan.
Dan Mason, Red Wings opening up a series against Scranton at home tomorrow night. Dan, once again, congratulations. We got to do this more than once a year, maybe, I would think.
Whenever you want.
All
I'm
right.
literally right across the street. You guys say the word, I'll be over.
Appreciate it, Dan.
Thank you, guys.
Congratulations again. Dan Mason, General Manager, Rochester Red Wings, stopping by the sports bar with Danger and Battaglia. Take a quick break. We got more on the way, including Ryan Talbot. We'll talk some Buffalo Bills with Ryan from NewYorkUpstate.com and the Shout podcast in just a few on The Fan.
You're listening to the Sports Bar. Speaker to play 95.7 The Fan. And let your appliances know who's the real MVP. Got a smart speaker at home? Listen to the sports leader, The Fan Rochester at home, by asking it to play 95.7 The Fan.
All right, I guess we can file this under people are only happy when they have something to complain about. The Buffalo Bills, this is a report. I don't know that anything has been made official yet, but there's reportedly going to be an alternate helmet for the Bills this upcoming season. For all of us holding our breath, wondering if it would be the throwback red helmet from the Four Falls era. No, it will be a white helmet with a gray, silver Bills logo. So more modern, new take on the Bills helmet than what we kind of all thought was going to happen, which was the red Bills alternate helmet.
Can we see how it looks first before we get all upset? If that's the case. I mean, and also, like you said, this is where we are right now.
Yeah.
Like, this is a team that went 17 years without a playoff, and I'm reading some of the responses online. They don't listen to us. You all are selfish. What are you doing? It's the color of a helmet. Yes, I would like to have a red helmet too. You know what I don't care about? Uniforms. Honestly, just win games.
Yeah. If you're telling me that the red helmet equals 5 wins, I think they would probably wear the red helmet for those 5 games. And, you know, the white, here's what makes me nervous. If it, like, and I want to see what it looks like. So I'm not going to reserve, but what makes me nervous is just the recent track record of these alternate helmets based on what we've seen in the college game. If they alter the helmet to the point where it doesn't look like a Bills helmet anymore, like the logo, the silver and gray logo, if it's enlarged or a portion of the logo, you know what I'm saying?
No, keep it the same, right? But
right.
If you, I think what they're going, and this is part of the Nike thing, right? That they're doing with the whole division. So when would you roll this out? Probably against a divisional opponent, I would think. Probably I would think the Miami game in prime time, Nike would love that. Maybe it's the Patriot game in prime time. White and that silver might look good with just a little bit of blue in it. Might look really sharp.
I'm excited to see what it looks like. I'm sorry to everybody who was holding their breath for the red helmet, the throwback helmet, but it's still a business, and I'm sure that there's, you know what I thought about too, with a lot of these teams going with the white alternate helmet. There's a whole industry around memorabilia and collectibles, and you know what looks really good on a white helmet? An autograph, a signature. You know, it prints really, really well. So I wonder if that, I'm stretching here a little bit. I wonder if that has anything to do with it.
Not a stretch at all.
All right. Not a stretch at all to think that. It's just another thing that, you know, a collectible will pay more for because it's more rare to see the alternate helmet signed by Josh Allen, probably worth more than it would be just the regular game helmet that the Bills would normally wear.
Are we getting this tomorrow? Are we believing this report? We might get it tomorrow. It would seem like it would be an optimal day right before camp starts.
Before camp. Yeah, that was the original report, right? The Tuesday before camp. And so I would imagine when you go to camp, if there's an opportunity to buy the new alternate helmet, that a lot of people might gobble that up. So
can you imagine, though, that would be next level if they fake planted a story like this. Get everybody all like, oh, okay, that's going to be great. No, it's actually the red helmet all along.
Yeah, that would be a good fake out. That would be
because you know whoever is in they got to be angry that this is getting out beforehand. It's supposed to be a big reveal.
Right. Well, look, there's a lot of citizen journalists out there that are doing the work and using their connections to try to get to the truth and try to be first. I'd rather be right, but let's see if the ones that were first were actually right as well. The other bit of hot uniform talk that I saw across my feed today.
Not hot uniform talk.
Yeah, we're talking about the Steelers.
Yeah.
Week 8, they're going to wear their 1933 throwbacks, which, if you remember, they're like that kind of like weird bumblebee black and yellow stripe uniform.
It's yellow. It's not gold. They're going with the yellow helmets.
That's
too.
right.
Yeah.
I'm not as enthusiastic about that look.
Rodgers dressed as a bumblebee.
Well, Rodgers had to wear those hideous Packers throwbacks too. You remember those? So he's got a little familiarity with wearing really, really old throwbacks. Not crazy about the 33 throwbacks there for the Steelers that they'll be wearing in Week 8. So there you go. A couple of hot uniform nuggets for you. Next in the sports bar, there's a couple things that happened over the weekend that we have yet to discuss today. We'll talk more Buffalo Bills with Ryan Talbot when he joins us at 4:25. But we have not talked about Scotty Scheffler
No.
yet. And I think there's a lot there. And the WNBA had their All-Star game over the weekend.
But are we really talking about that?
Couldn't tell you a thing about the game.
No.
Couldn't tell you who the MVP of the game was. If their mission was to get us to talk about their statement, we are going to fulfill that request, and we will talk about their statement along with Scotty Scheffler's performance over the weekend at the Open. That's on the way next. We have plenty of time for your calls as well. 866-4326, 585-866-4FAN.
Streaming online and in the Odyssey app at The Fan Rochester. The sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan Rochester, an Odyssey sports station. The Fan Rochester Sports Update.
Bills moving in. The players reporting tomorrow. First practice at 9:45 coming up on Wednesday. The Sports Bar will be broadcasting live from St. John Fisher University during camp. Titans quarterback Will Levis out for the season. He's got a shoulder injury. Rochester Red Wings tonight open a series at home against Scranton Wilkes-Barre. Big series up north. Yankees and Jays beginning a 3-game set. Toronto with a 3-game lead in the division. Meanwhile, for the Mets, Pete Alonso hopeful to get back in the lineup.
I really don't care about the streak. I just want to be out there and play every day as long as I'm able to. That's just who I am, and if I'm able to play, I'm gonna strap it on and go do it. So I was really happy that my body allowed me to get out there, and I just want to keep being able to do that.
Alonso with a bruised hand. Mets take on the Angels tonight. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan Rochester.
It's time to start the show and talk about the sports we saw. Inside jokes and takes from Danger and Battaglia. Bills and the Sabres and the Amherst. Who gave a microphone to these jerks? Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. With Danger and Battaglia.
We'll talk Buffalo Bills with Ryan Talbot, NewYorkUpstate.com, stopping by the Sports Bar in about 20 minutes or so as we welcome you back into the Sports Bar. It's Danger and Battaglia. Thanks for listening at 95.7 FM, AM 950, the Odyssey app, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, or watching the Sports Bar during our live stream every afternoon from 3 to 6 on Twitch and YouTube. Check out our channel, The Fan Rochester. Like, subscribe, share, put a little wind in the sails. I'm Danger. That's Battaglia.
Yeah, as we're really fired about camp here coming up in a couple of days, and as I'm looking at the ESPN monitor, there's general manager and owner Jerry Jones, or whatever title he wants to give himself today, and yeah, it's just nice to have a team that if you're a Bills fan, there really is minimal drama as compared to some other spots around this league. I think just this franchise is so well run, and to see how far things have come, Danger here in just a mere, 8-9 years.
Yeah, Jerry's not backing down. Like, that guy, what you see is what you get. It's not like he's altered his tune or changed his ways. He's the same guy that he's been as long as he's owned that team, right? Like, I know a lot of Cowboy fans are kind of disgusted and don't believe that they're going to break their NFC Championship drought until Jerry somehow steps away. He ain't stepping away. Never going to happen. And the guy, he just stirs it up. I mean, he'll just say things, and if you're a player for the team, you can't help but wonder, like, what am I doing working for this guy? This is not cool. What he says isn't. He was talking about and being pressed about Micah Parsons. We criticize him. Like, okay, Micah Parsons is going to eventually be the highest paid non-quarterback in the league. But you could have taken care of his extension earlier on in this process. Instead, you're waiting, and now you've got to match or go exceed what the Steelers just paid TJ Watt last week, which feels like you're overpaying for, like, it's just the timing of it is always wrong.
The way I think Jerry just kind of views this is, well, for a month, I get to be the lead here in the news.
Right.
Here.
Love me or hate me, you're talking about me. He's polarizing, and I don't know that it changes this year. I mean, like, the Cowboys feel like one of those teams that has a pretty wide variance, right? You could see the Cowboys winning 5 games, and you could see the Cowboys finding their way into the postseason. I think they have enough talent on that team where they could, but it's always a roller coaster as they open up camp there in Oxnard, California. So we'll get to Bills training camp talk with Ryan Talbot here in about 20 minutes or so. We haven't talked about Scotty Scheffler. I mean, when last we spoke, it was Friday, and Scheffler was kind of taking the lead, and I think I threw out a stat that there was only one instance where the world's number one went into the weekend holding the top spot at the Open where they didn't win. Tiger, of course, handled his business, and Scotty, much like Tiger, handling his business at Portrush and getting the win at the Open. With this Open Championship win yesterday, I found this to be an unbelievable coincidence. Scheffler has won his 4th major 1,197 days after he won his first the distance between majors numbers 1 and 4 for Tiger Woods, the same 1,197 days.
So you always know the Masters, right, is going to be on the week right after the NCAA championship game. It's always going to be the same week. And you have the Open, which is always going to be the third week in July. But even that being said, Danger, when you get a leap year or whatever kind of intermingled in there, like the idea that you landed on the same exact day?
Yeah, really, really bizarre, eerie coincidence when you're comparing the work that Scheffler has done in his career versus the work Woods did early in his career. And, boy, for the week that was for Scotty Scheffler, I mean, he said some things that kind of like made you do a double take. Like, what's he saying? He's not said this isn't a satisfying way. It's not a fulfilling life that he leads. Like, he's got a different perspective now that he's won as much as he's won, and he's developed a family, and he's frankly just putting it out there like, I'm putting my family before anything else. That's what's most important to me. I don't know why anybody would want this lifestyle, because winning is fleeting.
So why don't we like this guy like we like Tiger? I'm trying, like, if you boil it down, we love Tiger. Oh my gosh, Gen X, that's our guy. Tiger's our guy.
Yeah.
And like, we want to see Tiger. Why Danger? He does everything Scheffler the right way. That was the most. Maybe this is going to change now. Maybe we are going to tune into every major and say, all right, Scotty, what are you doing here, buddy?
And I think that was part of his point. Like, everybody expects now that I'm going to show up and I'm going to win, and what's the point? Because winning is so fleeting. Plus, I mentioned his family that's growing. This is Scotty Scheffler and his son.
He was trying to get up that hill on the side of the green. I don't think he's ever been up a hill that big before. I felt kind of bad for him. He just kept falling down. But that's part of the learning curve and growing up. And it's very cool to have him here. And he obviously has no clue what's going on. He just wants to spend some time with me. I hadn't really seen him much of the day, so. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Bit of a different tone than earlier in the weekend when he was having that conversation about the life that he's leading not being a satisfying one or a fulfilling one, that you're constantly, he doesn't understand why he feels the need to win as badly as he does, and man, it's a little bit of that dark side that I always talk about. Like, these elite athletes all have a dark side to them. And every now and then that dark side comes out. It gets exposed.
By dark side, it's like, hey, I just won a championship. And the way Scheffler described it, to paraphrase, it's great for a couple hours.
Yeah.
And then that's it. I won a major, couple hours. So by his timeline, we're already past that.
Yeah. Yeah, he's on to the next one already. And in his words, that's unfulfilling. Like, why would anybody want this life? He's cursed by the wins. Now, I don't feel sorry for him, but I just thought it was an interesting stance that he took earlier in the weekend. And man, I mean, he's playing dominant golf. Like, everybody now recognizes if he's on the leaderboard, we're all in trouble.
I think also part of it too is you're playing in. Do we want to say golf is the ultimate individual sport? I mean, yes, there's other Olympic sports that are certainly individual, but when you have a team sport and you're doing it with others. Now, you have a coach, you have a swing coach, you have everything kind of around, but ultimately it's up to you. And I'm trying to put this like for the Buffalo Bills of like, if this is the year they get over, it's not going to be 2 hours. Like the burden for Sean McDermott and everybody else, you will be celebrated. I would hope for a winning team in Buffalo that finally breaks through. It's not going to be like Scheffler. It's going to be more than 2 hours. And I would think the reason for that is you are doing it with others in the organization.
And real quickly, since you brought up the Bills, we're at the time of year when I kind of reflect. I'm like, we're going back to training camp. It starts Wednesday. Where were we last year versus where we are this year? Last year, expectations were not as high, and they got the result that they got, right? AFC Championship loss. This year, expectations through the roof again, right? Mm-hmm. Like, it's Super Bowl or bust, get the 1 seed, no excuses. It's just funny how mentally, like, I think why last year were we down on this team going into training camp? Was it all because of Diggs? Was it all because of the elimination of a star player, the trading of a star player? What was it that had us doubting this team going into training camp?
It was that. It was the Josh Allen hadn't taken that next step yet in his career, and it wasn't just Diggs' danger. It was Mitch Morse. It was the two safeties. There was a another whole exit. It was Trey White the first time leaving. And, there were a lot of other guys leaving, and how would these questions kind of get answered? So, yeah, the expectations were lower. They were surpassed. But to exceed expectation, there's only one answer, right? You got to finish further ahead.
That's right.
Here's one thought, too, is I'm trying to think what could be some things that we're downplaying. What if Maxwell Harrison isn't ready? That's a legit question, I think, and we're all going to be waiting. Well, we got Tre'Davious White. Why do people think Tre'Davious White is all of a sudden going to be 2018 out there? Why do we think that?
I don't think that at all.
He was bad for the Rams.
Yeah.
And, okay, he was serviceable for the Ravens, but he will get picked on. If he is your week 1 starter, okay, where's Lamar Jackson throwing that ball every time?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, to me, they don't have enough at the corner position. I'm hoping I'm wrong on that, but I don't want to put the pressure on the kid right now in Hairston. But, boy, you really do need that kid to step up.
Before we get to Ryan Talbot, the other event that happened over the weekend, the WNBA had their All-Star game. Now, Gene, I know we can have a kind of a nuanced conversation about this, right? Talk about the statement that the players made during the game, before the game, the T-shirts that they wore during warm-ups. Pay us what you owe us. And I guess if you look at it, just that action alone has us talking about the WNBA today, when I couldn't tell you anything about what actually happened during the game, right?
Yeah, other than Caitlin Clark was in street clothes.
Didn't play.
Yeah, didn't play.
All right. So they wear the T-shirts, and look, they can send whatever message they want to send, but I was curious, and I did a breakdown of what it is that they should be owed, just using simple math and recognizing that the WNBA, after all, is still a big business. So the message was, pay us what you owe us. The WNBA, big business. Players currently receive 9.3% of the league's total revenues. That is significantly less than other pro sports leagues. So you can make the case there. However, last year, amidst the resurgence due to Caitlin Clark and what you would say arguably was their best year in existence, the league still was set to lose $50 million. So in arguably their best season in existence, they still lost $50 million. The average WNBA salary this season comes in at just under $150,000 a year, which is significantly higher than just last season when it averaged around $102,000. The league minimum is just over $62,000, which, again, insanely low for a professional athlete. Pay us what you owe us. I get it. That is a low figure for a professional athlete. There are roughly between 143 and 156 players in the league at any given time, 13 teams, max roster of 12 players. So if the league lost $50 million at 9.3% of the league's revenues, you have $4.65 million. And if you divide the $4.65 million by the 150 players in the league, what you would find is that the WNBA players wanted to be, if they wanted to be paid what they're owed, they would actually have to pay the league $31,000 a year per player. And I'm not saying this to be a hater. I want to see the league succeed. I appreciate that they want to be heard, and we're talking about it. So mission accomplished. I believe they want to believe in their value. I get it. The numbers don't lie. And honestly, I don't know if there's a fix other than the league needs more Caitlin Clarks. You need half of the league to roster a Caitlin Clark.
So what we're talking about is owners who have taken losses, but what's undeniable is the explosion in revenue coming in. That Detroit, Cleveland, I forget the third, Portland. They're all paying $250 million expansion fees. Who could have imagined that? Not these players. So the question is, if I'm an owner, am I allowed to recoup my losses now? What you're talking about, Danger, is a messaging problem. Like what the T-shirt should have said was, hey, I always hate fair share because I think it's overused. But like moving forward, the CBA is up in October. So what this did was kind of raise the issue. This is a league that has severe growing pains. And here's one of them on full display, which should be an exciting time where, hey, it's a lull in the sports calendar. The NFL hasn't opened up, and no, we don't have Caitlin Clark. And, oh, yeah, I just want to watch the game. You know, that's kind of where I'm at. Number two, stop hating on Caitlin Clark. Like, to hear Kelsey Plum be the latest one, like, what is it? What is it with this jealousy in this league? Again, messaging problem, not understanding that for the greater good, it's okay that she's kind of the face of the league, even though you're number two. And by the way, you're number two, not going so well.
No.
She's been hurt, and the numbers are way down, and Indiana's not going to win a championship. I'm sorry. But here's something we're never talked about on our show, the WNBA. It's a ride, but my gosh, they need better leadership, top down.
Yeah, and the messaging, hey, look, we're talking about it, so I guess mission accomplished again. You know, the T-shirt saying, pay us what you owe us, just feels a little off. It would actually be the opposite. It would be owners wearing the T-shirt in the luxury suites of the game saying, yeah, the players need to pay us what they owe us because we lose money every time we turn the lights on.
But that's not going to be the case moving forward, though. I think
you
that's
would hope.
Yeah.
You would hope. And again, progress is progress. And they've already made progress from year to year, 2024 to 2025, when the average salary last season was around 102. Now it's up to 150. I imagine that number is going to continue to increase here as they project growth within this league.
This is a league that the story pre-Caitlin Clark, do you remember this one? Like, teams weren't allowed to charter flights?
Yeah.
Like, legitimately, it was a story from 2 years ago, which is a problem when you had Chicago playing a team based in Connecticut where there really aren't any direct flights, and you got to just kind of change, and you're like, oh, wait, aren't those well, that's how tight things were kind of run.
Yeah. Yeah, and I want to believe that they're a serious league and that they should be online on the same level as the NHL, the NBA, Major League Baseball, the NFL. They're not there yet. I mean, you said it, growing pains, right? And they are growing. I saw that T-shirt and I'm like, guys, yeah, okay.
Yeah, it like, you got to understand the history of this league too. To your point, like, okay, what are the top markets in the United States? New York, Chicago, L.A., Houston. Houston folded. Like, this is how kind of tenuous this is. The Comets don't exist anymore. So it's great that you have all this new money. But again, growing pains. You have teams stepping up, owners in Cleveland and Detroit, and you had one player in Indiana just kind of dump on those two cities, like, oh, who's going to want to go there? Legitimately, that was the quote. Like, are you kidding me?
Terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe a little PR.
Well, I got to give credit to who this was, but I think part of the problem is that in women's college basketball, there really isn't the media. There's not the media training. And then they just kind of come out, and here they are, where you should be kind of learning the basics of how to kind of talk in front of reporters, not throw Caitlin Clark under the bus, or not dump on, oh, okay, nobody's going to want to go to Cleveland. Like these athletes aren't used to the spotlight, and now they get into the big time, and, well, this is what we're getting. You
said the CBA is
October.
Up, so it's up in October. And I wonder how long that drags out.
Well, could you have if the Public Investment Fund ever wanted to make a statement in our country?
Oh, boy.
I haven't heard anything about that,
no.
But I maybe that's kind of gone.
And talking about CBAs and players' unions, interesting weekend with J.C. Tretter resigning abruptly, the NFLPA chief strategy officer who was in line, at least. It looked like he was in line to be the interim executive director of the NFLPA. Wants nothing to do with it in a piece today from CBS News.
No, he's out. So Tretter is which at least he could read the room, or somebody like they need leadership, new leadership top down here.
There's a couple of interesting things in that piece, though, the article. And it was kind of a one-sided article. I mean, it felt like it was just J.C. Tretter, sharing his side of the story. Not a lot of questions asked about, what led to this and everything that's gone on in the 3 years since D. Smith retired. I just think if his family is getting threats and it's become too much to handle, and that he recognizes, I think, what we all recognize, that if you're going to be the leader of the NFL Players Union, that takes precedent over pretty much everything else in your life. And in Treader's words, I think more so than even his family, and he's not willing to do that. He still is going to commit to his family first. So the NFLPA is a mess, an absolute mess. No idea who the interim is going to be or who the long-term solution is going to be for the Players Union.
Yeah, you got to fix that. This is like because you have a very big CBA coming up closer than you think here. Meanwhile, Shamar Stewart's still unsigned by Cincinnati. Oh, and you had Mike Brown, the team president / owner.
So he gave his side of this, and I kind of understand where he's coming from. I think if it's true, if what he's saying is true, and that this is really all about losing guarantees if something detrimental to the team were to happen to Stewart, that's the language that they kind of follow. So, like, if you abuse a woman or if you have to go to jail because while you're under contract, you don't get the guaranteed money. Mike Brown's thing is like, look, I don't want to pay somebody if they're not playing for us. That's what I've always done. That's where I come down. And if that's the thing that's holding this up, I kind of think it's hilarious. It's like, well, so are you planning on abusing a woman in the next 4 years, 5 years? What is this all about?
That's why, like, you hear this, it's like, oh my gosh, you're really you would side with the Bengals on this, and I'm just wondering if they're cherry picking here. Like,
I don't.
Yeah, I think this is the Bengals cherry picking something that will make Stewart look stupid. Which, here's another thing too. Okay. Negotiation should be behind closed doors.
Yes.
When you're going to,
but this
tell
is
your
where we
story,
are.
tell the story to the world. Yeah, you know what? He wants us to pay him if he goes to jail. Like you said, what are you planning on doing this?
You wanted to get arrested? I think that it's convenient that they're doing this now because the deadline is here. Camp is opening. We want you under contract. Let's go. And the same thing for Hendrickson, right? Like, I can't remember who said that the Bengals are more interested in winning the negotiation than winning the game, but they are more interested. Like, Hendrickson is under contract. We expect to see him at camp. Well, the Bengals will be a fun watch here this preseason. We'll see if they sign their first-round pick. We'll see if the NFL sack leader shows up to camp. Less drama in Pittsburgh. Less drama at St. John Fisher University as the Bills get ready to open camp on Wednesday. We welcome in Ryan Talbot, NewYorkUpstate.com. The Shout Podcast. We'll have some Buffalo Bills talk next on The Fan.
You're listening. update.
We are 2 days away from the start of training camp for the Buffalo Bills at St. John Fisher University. Veterans due to report tomorrow. The Titans will be without quarterback Will Levis for the upcoming season. Levis shut down. He's got a shoulder injury. Wings, beautiful night for a ball game. They open a series tonight. Make that tomorrow night against Scranton Wilkes-Barre. Jays and Yankees playing tonight. They start a 3-game series north of the border. Toronto with a 3-game lead in the division. Aaron Judge knows it's a tough opponent.
They're a good ball club, so they've been playing good ball all year. So, anytime you play in the East, especially the AL East, it's going to be a gauntlet. Every team's usually always in it, so you have to be ready to go.
Sports brought to you by GetMyPerks.com. Get a $50 certificate for half price to Lasertron in Henrietta. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
The beer is cold and the wings are hot. You're in the sports bar with Danger and Battaglia on the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
We're fired up for Buffalo Bills training camp. It all gets underway Wednesday, and some of the coverage that you can check on not just here on the sports bar, NewYorkUpstate.com, Syracuse.com, the Shout Podcast, our buddy Ryan Talbot stopping by the sports bar here in advance of Wednesday's training camp kickoff. Ryan, what is the position group that you're going to be paying most attention to when you're there at practice?
Yeah, that's a great question. Probably cornerback, just because I want to see if Max Harrison can lock down a starting job opposite Christian Benford early, or if it leads, if there's a little bit of intrigue there with a Trey White getting an opportunity to maybe compete as well.
So from the rookie standpoint, yeah, Harrison is the number one pick, the first-round pick we're always going to pay attention to. But it's a draft class that, remember, went defensive heavy. So with that being said, Ryan, ultimately, and I'm sure you've done the 53-man projection and whatnot, but how many real contributors from this rookie class do you think we actually might see? And our first clues will be coming up here on Wednesday.
Yeah, that's a great question. Obviously, Harrison's topping the list. TJ Sanders, I think, is going to be a big contributor as a rookie. We know how much Sean McDermott loves to rotate his defensive linemen. I thought he had a really impressive spring. Explosive player. I think someone that you can get in there behind Ed Oliver at times, giving Ed Oliver a breather, and he can be just as disruptive. Landon Jackson has a great opportunity too. When you look at the way things are laid out for the Bills, you have Greg Rousseau on one side and Joey Bosa on the other. The Bills are probably going to want to be smart with Bosa's snap count with his injury history. So that gives Landon Jackson a chance to come in and compete as well right out of the gate. So those guys come right to mind in terms of depth options for the most part, minus Hairston. You could go further down the list, and maybe you could convince me of one or two others, but those would be the top three right there.
Ryan Talbot, New York Upstate, joining us in the sports bar as we get ready for Buffalo Bills training camp at St. John Fisher University starting Wednesday. One of the biggest offseason stories revolves around James Cook and his desire for a new deal. And I try to think of the range of possibilities of what we could see on Wednesday and through the course of the preseason. We know that James Cook showed up to mandatory minicamp, and he made it very clear, I'm here because I like my money. I don't want to be fined for not showing up. What do you think the range of outcomes are for Cook when camp opens up on Wednesday? Do you think that there are tactics that he might employ in order to try and get that deal sooner rather than later? Or do you think he shows up, does his job, and just expects to hit free agency if the Bills don't sign him at some point here?
Yeah. I think the latter is the most realistic. I think he's going to show up and work. He talked about wanting to be a leader for this team in the spring. I don't think that's going to change. Come training camp time, he'll be here. Obviously, in the veterans report, he kind of has to, or else he would lose the accrued season, and then we'd be in this whole situation again for at least another year. So he'll be here in that regard. I don't see like a hold-in or anything taking place. I think he's going to participate and, put his best foot forward, and hopefully that resonates with the Bills, and maybe they can find middle ground between the two parties. It just seems like there hasn't been a lot of movement, but things can change very quickly in the NFL.
Ryan, I'm having a tough time figuring out who's going to be on this roster in terms of defensive linemen. Now, there's some locks, of course, Ed Oliver, Greg Rousseau. Daquan Jones, Joey Bosa. Then you have the rookies. You mentioned Sanders and Jackson and Deion Walker. You can't forget about A.J. Epineza, Dwayne Carter from last year, Javon Sullivan. Oh, yeah, and the two guys that are going to be here working out, but then they're going to go away for a little bit in Ogunjobi and Hoyt. So, Ryan, I just named 12 guys. You're not carrying granted, it will only be 10 here, but who might be the odd man out? Who should be on notice? Is it somebody like Carter, perhaps? Is it somebody like Daquan Jones? Who really needs to show and up during camp here for Fisher?
Well, of those names, the one that really needs to show up and impress this summer, and even with his opportunities early in the regular season, is Dwayne Carter. I mean, we're 1 year removed from this player who was drafted on day 2 of the draft, and he's kind of the forgotten man already. As wild as that sounds, he had a wrist injury last year, and after that wrist injury, he wasn't quite the same. It's kind of similar to what happened to Keon Coleman, but obviously on the defense side of the ball. When you have a wrist injury, you're not necessarily going to be able to fight as well with your hands, and it led to him being inactive sometimes. So he is definitely one where I would be stunned if he didn't make this roster, but he's someone that needs to have a good camp because you just mentioned it. I could see all 10 of the active players that you mentioned making the initial roster, but, after that 6-week suspension, you have 2 guys coming back, and they're going to have to make a roster move. I know A.J. Epinesa has been a popular, maybe they could trade him type of candidate, but I think you need him at least early in the season as insurance, knowing that you're down Hoy and Bosa with his injury history. So it's going to be more interesting, in my opinion, following that 6-week suspension to see what the Bills do. And who knows, injuries happen. Maybe both of those guys come off of their suspensions and they don't really have to make any kind of crazy moves because of injuries elsewhere. But they're loaded at that position for sure.
Ryan, forgive me if we've discussed this in the past, but I feel like, as the offseason has gone on and we get ready for training camp, I grow with anticipation. One of the things I can't wait to see is how does Dorian Williams look out there? How does Matt Milano look out there? We saw Matt Milano start to look more into form at the end of last season. We saw Dorian Williams lead the Buffalo Bills in tackle. My question is Dorian Williams right now a better football player than Matt Milano?
That's the $1 million question. And, that was one of Matt Perino's hot takes, is that maybe this is the year that we see Dorian Williams slide into the starting job and Matt Milano kind of get that limited snap role to kind of keep him healthy, keep him preserved as a possibility. I wasn't saying it was a surefire thing that's going to happen, but, Dorian Williams is an unbelievable athlete. Year 3, he knows the system now. It wouldn't shock me if he gets a lot more run this summer because they do have to be smart and figure out exactly where Matt Milano is and can he stay healthy. We saw some injuries catch up with him, and he's been in the league for quite a few years now. He came right along with Sean McDermott in that first draft, 30 years old. So it's going to be interesting because that was a position that I was kind of worried about in the spring, and we saw. Obviously, Dorian Williams looked very good. We know they have Terrell Bernard and Matt Milano, and they've had some other guys step up too. Joe Andreessen had a really nice spring. So that's another position to at least keep an eye on, whether you want to be looking at Milano and Dorian Williams or who holds on for that last spot or one of the last spots between Ulofoshio and Shaq Thompson.
Ryan, Danger and I were talking about how we look back last year at some of the storylines going to camp, and boy, whether it was how's this offense going to be without Diggs? What about this offensive line? And one guy, like I could look back this time last year, I thought Cole Bishop coming in to camp really, during the spring, really didn't kind of get his footing, and I thought we saw some signs at the end here, but Cole Bishop taking steps from year 1 to year 2. Because I don't think DeMar Hamlin has any lock on the starting safety spot next to Taylor Rapp.
No, I think the Bills would be very disappointed if Cole Bishop didn't win that job opposite Taylor Rapp. I think that they're going to give him every opportunity to do so, but it's going to come down to his health and can he stay healthy this summer. I thought in the spring when he was on the field, he looked very confident. He was yelling things out. He knew the assignments. He was being very vocal. It was kind of night and day in terms of the rookie versus year 2, and he has the athleticism to thrive in this defense. It's just going to come down to, as I said, his health. If he stays healthy, then there's a good chance that he starts. And then, the depth part of it stays interesting with DeMar Hamlin and Derek Forrest. You have Cam Lewis in the mix, who they love. The list goes on and on. So I think Bishop, as long as he stays healthy, he wins that job. But the depth roles behind it are up for grabs too.
The Buffalo Bills were ranked fourth in a recent ESPN ranking of starting lineup projections for all 32 teams. And they noted that their weak link, or they claim that the weak link for the Buffalo Bills is actually that position group that we're talking about here, the safety group with Rapp, with Bishop, with Hamlin. Do you agree with that? Do you think that the safeties are the weakest position right now for the Buffalo Bills, which would be rare because for so long we were spoiled with Poyer and Hyde back there?
Yeah, I think when you do break down this roster, I think you can make a really good case that probably is the weakest. You have at quarterback. They have a great three-headed running back room. I think there's enough talent, as they showed last year, at wide receiver, and they upgraded there. Tight ends are good. O-line is elite. And then we've talked about the talent on the D-line. Linebacker, they're very top-heavy in terms of the talent, but there's enough there. And cornerback could be in the mix. I think the secondary as a whole, you could make an argument for that being the weak link of this team going into training camp, where obviously a lot can change over these 2 weeks. In terms of how you feel about these units. But, yeah, DeMar Hamlin, there are a lot of fans that feel like he is at most a backup, and maybe that's fair. I think he is better than some give him credit for. Derek Forrest is a relative unknown that they signed in free agency. He had a good year in 2022, an injury in 23, and then a new coaching staff in 24 kind of kept him off the field. Cam Lewis is fine as that another depth piece, but do you feel good about the depth behind Taylor Rapp, a player that has missed some time in his career because of the way he plays so aggressively? Cole Bishop very early in his career, but he's been dinged up at times too. So I do think overall between all the positions, I think that's a fair assessment.
We're talking to Ryan Talbot, NewYorkUpstate.com, the Shout podcast. Ryan will be coming into town as well as other Western New Yorkers next week here, or actually this week as well. One rookie I want to ask you about here, Ryan, and it's not a rookie on defense. Jackson Hawes. To me, that's some player that I'm curious to see how the role is and how far he comes along, and could he actually push a Dawson Knox here perhaps for time, or am I getting ahead of myself? Your thoughts on the tight end out of Bowling Green, Ryan?
Yeah, I'm not ready quite to say that Hawes is going to kind of push Dawson Knox or anything like that, but let me tell you, this guy is a mauler as a blocker. He showed better hands than I was anticipating in the spring, so he was catching everything. We know the Bills love the jumbo package, but maybe instead of the jumbo package from time to time, you just bring him out there as that additional blocker, and it can be a play action. He can run out and catch the ball. So I do like his game. I think he's going to be a nice potential upgrade from Quentin Morris, and no knock on Morris. He made 2 or 3 good touchdown grabs a year, it felt like, and he was a special teams contributor, but Hawes and the physical style that he plays with and that we saw out of him at the college level, I think he can come right in here and slide in and make an impact.
Oftentimes, when training camp concludes and the preseason comes to an end, we see a veteran that is let go, and I'm wondering if there is a surprise vet on this roster right now that you could see. Who tops your list of veterans that could be camp casualties when it's all said and done here, Ryan?
Maybe not a cut, but I was pondering this recently. I wonder if there's an injury somewhere in another camp and the team's looking for a receiver, if the Bills could trade Curtis Samuel. And I'm not ready to write off Curtis Samuel yet, but there's only the dead cap hit in the trade is so small that it would make sense for the Bills if you wanted to get that contract off the books. Just because, Elijah Moore could be that speedy player. They have very similar skill sets in that regard. I know Samuel, though, when he was healthy at the end of last season, he did make some plays in the regular season game against the Chiefs and the playoff game against Denver. So maybe that'd be someone on offense I would keep an eye on. And then on defense, I don't think it'd be a surprise, but I think Shaq Thompson would make a lot of sense to be a cut. I know he was just brought in here somewhat recently. He seems like a player that the Bills would love to slide onto their practice squad. He's only played 6 games in the last 2 years. I know he has the ties to Beana McDermott from Carolina. I have a hard time justifying keeping him on this roster over in Ulofoshio, for instance, for that last linebacker spot.
Ryan, if Josh Allen's out for any extended period of time, I mean, it's curtains, right? But say there's a 1, 2, 3 game stretch here where, all right, maybe the Bills could navigate this. Your thoughts on Trubisky against White? Is this going to come down to who's getting paid less? Because it looks like that would be White. Or did we see enough out of Trubisky? Who should be the backup quarterback on this team opening day, in your opinion?
I think the Bills are going to go in with an open mind this summer just to see how they look this summer. Because as you mentioned, Trubisky's getting a decent salary for a backup, and the Bills could save some money by cutting him. But you're going to have to see a much more comfortable Mike White here in his second year in this system. He was given an opportunity to play late last year against the Patriots. He did not look good. He was inaccurate most of the game. I think he was something like 3 for 11. He just was not delivering the ball well. And, I know that during his tenure with the Jets, he seemed to always have 1 or 2 big games per year. But he would always kind of fade a little bit after that. So it's asking a lot to just say to come in here and for the Bills to hand it to Mike White. But if he competes at a high level and outperforms Trubisky, the Bills would be wise to maybe at least, consider that, because as you mentioned, it's probably curtains if anything happens to Josh Allen. But for a 2 or 3 game stretch, could you lean on the run game and the defense? And, who do you trust more in that case? Trubisky probably protects the ball a little bit more, but if you need to get into a situation to stretch the field and make some plays, I think Mike White's a little bit more of that fearless quarterback like a Ryan Fitzpatrick was, where doesn't necessarily have all the physical tools or talent, but he's not afraid to take a few risks here and there.
Ryan, what player do you have circled as a potential camp darling? It feels like every year somebody comes out of nowhere and gets the attention of the coaching staff, where we're hearing about them and so. Tyrell Shavers looks really good at camp this year. Is there a guy that you have circled that you're looking forward to seeing at camp that could be a potential camp darling for 2025?
It might just be Elijah Moore based on how good he played in the spring and how natural he looks in this offense. Now, mind you, the one thing I'll say is the spring when the pads aren't on, that's a time for the smaller, speedy receivers to thrive. Can he pick up and take off with that this summer? I think it's a golden opportunity for him. He's never had a good quarterback between his time with the Jets and the Browns, but he put up some decent numbers in Cleveland the last few years. So I think he is someone that we might come away with as being an absolute camp darling that actually has a really good chance of making the roster. And then I think Jackson Hawes is another one that, because of the physical play, the blocking, he's gonna lay someone out at some point this summer, and it's gonna make fans really excited.
Special teams? We got a new coordinator, and last year during the Ravens playoff game, he actually had Shakir returning punts, which I kind of like, but he's going to be so important to the offense. I don't think that's a long-term commitment. And when you look at the other options here, Ryan, it doesn't seem like. Whether it's Brandon Codrington, okay, he's way down on the list in the defensive backfield, or Laviska Shenault, all right, he's not the top 6 here wide receiver. Like, how do the Bills go about figuring out who's going to be returning punts and kickoffs this year?
Yeah, when I did my initial 53-man roster projection, I actually had Codrington listed under the special teams unit because, as you mentioned, he's so far down on that cornerback list that if he makes this roster, it's 100% because of his special teams returnability. And I thought he did a good job last year when called upon. Late in the season, the Bills went with players that they trusted a little bit more, and he was inactive at times. But I thought he was a very explosive player. I could see the Bills kind of putting one spot aside for a return man. Now, can Codrington do punts and kicks at a high level? He's going to have to show that this summer. Laviska Shenault, that he has a history with this coach, some of the coaches on this coaching staff. Chris Tabor is someone that is highly respected in this league. So I think that, he's going to really evaluate a few players and give his 2 cents at the end of the summer in terms of who he needs back there returning kicks. But Shakir, as you mentioned, so important. Elijah Moore has a little bit of a history there. Maybe that helps him cement that 5th spot in the wide receiver room. But that's another spot where the Bills might have to just keep a player specifically for the return jobs.
Ryan, it took the Dallas Cowboys all but 2 hours to get their first training camp fight out of the way this summer. I know that the forecast is going to get a little bit hotter here in Rochester over the course of the next couple of weeks. What's the over-under for when we see the first squabble during Bills practice here at training camp?
I'll say 4 practices in. I think before when the pads aren't on, I think it's a little more laid back. Once you get those pads on, it could get a little chippy. Although I'll say the forecast for Thursday looks like it's going to be a hot one, so maybe that alone will get some of these guys set off. But yeah, I saw Dallas had a lot of fireworks on the field and off with Jerry Jones too.
Yeah, 92 on Thursday. So if everybody going to that practice, make sure you hydrate. Ryan Talbot will be out there off and on, but Ryan, you and Matt once again with an appearance. Tell everybody what's coming up here on August the 7th.
Yeah, August the 7th, we will be live at Dorado, the final day of training camp. Wingnuts will be joining us like they have the last few years. We will break down everything about training camp. We'll look forward to the preseason, who needs to really show up and perform well then, and we'll have some outstanding wings and drinks outside that evening, and the event starts around 4:35 p.m., so make sure you join us at Dorado.
Always a great time. Love having you guys in the Rock, and I know that the Park Ave area feels a little bit different when the Shout podcast is in the neighborhood. Buddy, thanks for the time as always. Looking forward to seeing you here at St. John Fisher University over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, can't wait to see you guys.
Thanks, Ryan.
Ryan Talbot. You can read his work at NewYorkUpstate.com, Syracuse.com. And, of course, hear him with Matt Perino on the Shout podcast. Perino joins us tomorrow at 3:25 as well, his usual time.
Yeah, so Matt is everybody's back into regular season mode, and love those guys, and glad that they are doing things here in our town.
All right, we've got happy hour coming up next. More to react to with Bill's training camp getting underway here on Wednesday. We can revisit some of what we talked about with Ryan Talbot. And one of the things we just touched on just a few seconds ago, the Cowboys, lots of comments from Jerry Jones, as you would expect, and some fisticuffs during practice as well. If you look around the league right now, there's a couple of interesting little storylines that have yet to be concluded. We can go to Tennessee. We can go to Cincinnati. We can talk a little bit about what's happening here as the rest of the NFL gets ready to start their training camps
We have
as well.
the Colts' new owner just making a statement now.
Okay.
All right. So she's going to be like the old man.
Lots to get to here with happy hour and your calls at 866-4FAN. If you'd like to join us, 866-4326 is the number.
WPTF Rochester, the sports leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan, Rochester. An Odyssey sports station. The Fan, Rochester. Sports update.
Move-in day for the Buffalo Bills players and staff coming up on Tuesday. First practice Wednesday morning. Bills camp week is here. Titans quarterback Will Levis, his season's done. He's going to be out with a shoulder injury. Rochester Red Wings open a series tomorrow night at home against Scranton Wilkes-Barre. The parent Yankees and Jays start a 3-game series tonight north of the border. Toronto with a 3-game lead in the division. For the Mets, Pete Alonso hopeful to get back into the lineup.
I really don't care about the streak. I just want to be out there and play every day as long as I'm able to. That's just who I am, and if I'm able to play, I'm gonna strap it on and go do it. So I was really happy that my body allowed me to get out there, and I just want to keep being able to do that.
Sports brought to you by GetMyPerks.com. Get a $50 certificate for half price to Lasertron in Henrietta. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
It's time to start the show and talk about the sports we saw. Inside jokes and takes from Danger and Battaglia. Bills and the Sabres and the Amherst. Who gave a microphone to these jerks? Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. With Danger and Battaglia.
Happy hour in the sports bar. Danger and Battaglia. Glad you're with us. Thanks for making this part of your routine, your ride home, even if it's just for a few minutes and you're listening at 95.7 FM, AM 950. We know how many options you have for your sports information and entertainment. And if you're giving us some of your most valuable commodity, your time, well, we don't take that for granted. It's a privilege to have you along with us.
Why would you want to go anywhere else, especially this week?
That's
We're
right.
going to be out at Fisher every week, every day.
You got it. New St. John Fisher University, the site, once again, a Buffalo Bills training camp. The team opens up practice on Wednesday. We will be live every weekday that the team is conducting a practice here in the sports bar. Let us be your ears and eyes at St. John Fisher University. We know a lot of people who wish they could be at a practice looking for their training. We'll put it out like this. Gino and I do not have tickets.
No.
I would love to be able to hook up everybody that's asked me for tickets. You know, all we have is our credential with our name on it. And God forbid we were to share that with anybody. That would mean our credentials would be revoked, and that ain't happening.
Well, and then Berkeley Breen, and this happens every year. He had the story, like, if you were lucky enough to win the lottery and you think, okay, well, this is my opportunity to cash in. The Bills monitor this. If you're trying to sell free tickets, they will just revoke those tickets. They were free. And the person that ends up paying from you'll have to give their money back. So don't even try that. They're going to find you.
Boy, and it kind of it speaks to where this team is, right? Last year, expectations weren't what they are this year. Expectations are once again sky high for this team after they lost in the AFC Championship game and signed a lot of their key pieces. So there's a lot to be excited about with your MVP quarterback, and it's fun to think about where we are versus where we were, because it never used to be a challenge to get free tickets to Buffalo Bills training camp, yet here we are.
Yeah, and I think one of the storylines, I think we can all kind of say, all right, you like the offense, you like the offensive line, the running game. There shouldn't be any issues with the offense. Are all these new parts on defense going to work? Will corner 2 actually produce something, and you're relying on a rookie? That should be plan A. Safety continues to be a big question mark on this team. So it's not like there aren't warts. And we're not going to just kind of go along and say, hey, this team is going to go 15-2 or 17-0. I mean, we'll just kind of report what we see, where we're allowed to report when we're out there. But I'm just telling you that with all these new parts on defense, and you're just asking for some of these rookies to kind of step up, I think it might be something we're overlooking here a little bit, that there might be some growing pains here on that side of the ball.
All right, Gene, I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit because I mentioned it during Talbot's conversation with Ryan Talbot that we had last hour here in the sports bar, that ESPN put out their list of the best projected starting lineups in the NFL. Mm-hmm. This list has the Buffalo Bills at number 4. Do you want to take a stab at the 3 teams ahead of the Buffalo Bills?
You respectfully, okay, you'd have to go with Philadelphia.
Philadelphia is number 2 on the list.
Okay, Philadelphia. Let's think of all the other candidates, folks. Washington, Baltimore, Kansas City. Kansas City's defense is really, really good, Danger. And I know we're tired of them. Kansas City.
Kansas City is number 5.
Wow.
One behind the
How
Buffalo
have I
Bills.
not gotten a text from Binkley? How disrespectful. How do they not know?
At worst, we're saying you're the 5th best in the league. That's disrespect.
Well, maybe it's because they do have some holes on that offensive line. The receivers are kind of meh. How about give me Baltimore?
Baltimore is number 1 on this list from ESPN.
And give me Detroit.
Detroit is number 3. You
All
got
right,
it.
so-
Congratulations. The Eagles at number 2. So, look, the Bills are there in this rarefied air, top 5 projected starting lineup in the NFL, and doing it really with the superstar quarterback. And, I mean, your second biggest star is probably not on this team next year at this time. Kind of crazy to think how they've built this team.
That's interesting. Like, in terms of, like, star power. James Cook is the second biggest star?
I think so. Would you not say that?
Yeah. I mean, Bernard is the captain, but he's not a star. We like Ed Oliver, but he's not a star.
Right.
James Cook, 16 touchdowns.
Yes.
James Cook has a brother we're familiar with.
You play fantasy football. You like James Cook
Yeah.
a whole lot. Well, that was just something that when I saw that cross my feet, I'm like, oh, that's interesting that they have the Bills slightly ahead of the Chiefs, but they have the Ravens number 1 in terms of most talented projected starting roster in the NFL. Now, other camps happening, other news from around the NFL. I mean, we could start with the Cowboys, where Jerry Jones is doing Jerry Jones things.
Like, if you're a Cowboy fan and you can't be surprised by this. It's kind of par for the course. There he is holding his own press conference at the podium and asked if he was consider stepping aside, and he said he thought about it for a microsecond. Then he kind of moves on with his day, stepping aside as GM. I don't know.
Never happened.
Danger, like, how old is he, 82? Like, at what point is enough?
I'm not sure how old he is, but I'm fairly certain he's not going anywhere. And as we've seen in the NFL, when these owners get a hold of something, they're not going to let go until they're gone. 82. Much older than Jim Irsay, who passed away this offseason. What's going on in Indianapolis?
All right, so Jim Irsay, we lost Jim Irsay, and we didn't know much about Carly Irsay Gordon. But then a picture came out. Wait a second. She would be sitting upstairs with a headset on, a coach's headset.
On the sideline, I want to say.
Yeah, well, you can't actually do – well, she can listen in.
Communicate. She's not communicating.
She can't
just
communicate. I'm like, wow, okay, you might have an owner who might be a micromanager if she wants to eavesdrop in on her coaches. And this is normally the puff piece that appears on the team website. You know, like, okay, it's sanitized and everything is good. But she was asked about the quarterback, Anthony Richardson. Anthony Richardson, who has been a disappointment. Year 1, hurt. Year 2, tapping out. And year number 3, well, not so great, right? This is what she had to say. He still has time to prove it. Bring a sense of urgency. And nothing brings a sense of urgency more than competition.
Great. Look, that's the moment that they brought in Daniel Jones. I don't think Daniel Jones is like some kind of world beater, but at minimum, it makes it interesting this preseason to see who rises up, if it's Richardson, if it's Daniel Jones. I just feel like Richardson has already lost before he even starts because of his reputation, because he tapped out. I don't know that you come back from that. And when you look within that division, too, you've got another team with a story today that you have plenty of question marks around why this is happening when it's happening.
Fishy, lot fishy.
Yeah.
Like week old, sitting out in the sun, fishy.
Will Levis, primarily starting for the Titans the last couple of seasons. And this season was expected to be the backup to the first overall pick, Cam Ward. We get news today that Levis is going to have shoulder surgery that'll put him on the shelf for the entirety of the 2025 season.
Okay, so Will Levis, who, just to get around, he played football like a knucklehead, Like, and that's like, Ren, this is the audience that watched Josh Allen as a rookie, right? And one of the plays where he's diving first for a head down against the Dolphins, apparently he hurts his shoulder on this danger. So this goes back all the way to September 30th.
Yeah, he's been dealing with he was dealing with a shoulder injury pretty much all of last season.
So, and then he gets to mini camps, does the whole spring thing, and they're just hoping that rest and rehab would allow the shoulder to recover. Why did you come to this conclusion just how many days? 2 days before the start of training camp?
Yeah, it's convenient. He wants nothing to do with this team. He's done.
Either that or you're clearing the dance floor for the kid.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Two things. I think one, yes. Now you have undoubtedly Cam Ward taking all the first team reps, which is probably good for Cam Ward. But you also have Will Levis basically saying, I'm not backing this guy up. I don't want to be a part of this team anymore. I'll sit out the year.
They are going to be a mess. Because what is around Cam Ward? Nothing. There's nothing around him in terms of a line and receivers and everything else. This kid's going to be out there trying to do it all himself. And you have a head coach in Callahan that I'm not sure what he's all about. We see the way this is going, right? Cam Ward will show just enough, but man, they were losing, and well, we can't have that. So it's an opportunity for us to hire another head coach.
Do you know who's behind Cam Ward on the depth chart now that Will Levis will be out for the season?
I do not, but can you give me a hint?
Well, this will give it away. Same last name as Josh Allen.
Kyle Allen?
Brandon Allen.
Brandon Allen. I messed up my Allens.
Brandon Allen. Tim Boyle, third string.
Oh, Tim Boyle.
Remember how we talked last week about the worst quarterback rooms in the NFL? I'd like to revise my statement. I think it might be the Titans. And they have to now go out and find some veteran help, somebody that can, sit behind Cam Ward and maybe help act as a mentor, because it's sure not going to be Will Levis. We know that much. And with that move, I'm fairly certain we've seen the last of Will Levis as a starter in the NFL. Unless he has some sort of Geno Smith renaissance. Don't know if I see it. I don't know if I see it for Levis.
Desmond Ritter's still... Nope, he got signed.
He got signed,
He got signed, yeah.
Yeah, it's a tough look for Tennessee on that quarterback depth chart. You're putting all your eggs in the Cam Ward basket. And I don't know. The best case scenario is he has a Jaden Daniels type of rookie season. I don't know if that happens every season in the NFL. It's kind of rare to see somebody do what Jaden Daniels did last year in his rookie year. So convenient for Levis. He's getting the shoulder surgery, as it's announced just a couple of days before they go to camp. And I think he's done.
Yeah, did Tannehill ever announce his retirement? He's probably laughing somewhere, right?
God, Tannehill. Jeez. Forgot about that guy.
Yeah, I'm looking. Like, that doesn't seem to be usually. I'm pulling up the list of free agent quarterbacks. Seems like every camp has somebody, including your Bears. I didn't realize that's where Case Keenum is.
Yeah, they got Case Keenum. Hope I never get to see him. Hope I never see him on the field this year. Don't need to see Case Keenum on the field this year. And who knows? Maybe somebody frees up at the end of training camp. We've certainly spent plenty of time talking about the backup competition that might be ensuing between Mike White and Mitch Trubisky.
Danger, we are how long away? Like the first preseason game against the Giants will be here. You're not going to see Josh Allen. If you do, it's for one series. It's going to be a steady diet of Minch and Mike White. This is just kind of brace for this. We're all like, yeah, Camp is back. But then, okay, we're going to dissect who should be the number 2 quarterback.
Well, not only that, Camp is back, but with Camp always comes, for me at least, every day, to me, the biggest story is there somebody injured? Are they healthy?
Yeah.
Because the last thing you want is an injury during training camp. We've had it year in and year out. It's an inevitability. Somebody's going to get hurt. But how severe is the injury? How much will it cost the team? Not necessarily in the preseason, but I think we saw last year with Cole Bishop missing time, that affects your ability to get on the field. It affects your ability to contribute in meaningful ways. And every rep matters. Cole Bishop missing part of training camp last year, didn't get on the field until, what was it, week 4, week 5 against Houston, and we saw what happened when he was given that opportunity. Didn't go well.
No.
But again.
So it's a tough position to kind of, understand. But going back to those rankings, how they pointed out the safety position is the weakest position of this Bills team. It's hard to argue against that. I mean, we really like Taylor Rapp. But if DeMar Hamlin is starting,
we were spoiled, man. Hyde and Poyer were fantastic. We were spoiled.
There's no reason to think that can't happen again, though, with Bishop. And then maybe Forrest. I really want them to make hard decisions here, but
are you going to have what they had, though? Are you going to have two guys that are there for multiple seasons consistently that play off each other as well as those two did? That was rare. We were spoiled. I don't know that you're going to see that. I mean, I think we expect that. We want that. I just don't know that it's realistic that you're going to see anything like that anytime soon. And maybe it's Rapp and Bishop, but I've yet to see Rapp for any negativity you might have towards Taylor Rapp. That guy single-handedly kept points off the board for the Bills defense at various points of last season through just hard work and hustle. But he's reckless.
He plays with his body a little out of control,
He's
which
reckless.
leads to injury.
Still, love the player. I like Rapp for the hustle and the physicality. You just hope that guy can stay healthy. So I can't argue with it. If ESPN wants to say that that's the weakest position on this Bills roster, I think that's probably accurate. Hard to argue. And we'll see if Bishop takes that leap in year 2 that we're all expecting him to take. Fun conversation with Ryan Talbot. Also, good having Dan Mason in studio with us earlier this afternoon. Mace going into the Red Wings Hall of Fame and got to share some of the emotion that he felt when learning of that honor.
How is there not a video of this, Wings? Come on, you have a video for everything. There should have been like Dan Mason in tears and everything else. Maybe Mace. There wasn't anything like the story he told was he's in the meeting and he was asked to step out of the meeting. It's never a good sign, right?
Can you step out so we can talk about you behind your back?
Please leave the meeting.
You know what? We didn't get a chance to ask Ryan about this, and we'll reportedly hear tomorrow whether or not this will happen. But the reports or the rumors today are the alternate helmet that will be announced tomorrow for the Buffalo Bills will not be the throwback red helmet that I think a lot of us were hoping it would be.
Sounds like, and this goes back to the Nike uniforms they're going to roll out, their NFL version of their City Connects. And again, everybody in the AFC East is going to don one, and everyone in the NFC West is going to don one. But the report we have today, if we're going to believe it, is it's still sticking with the white, but the Buffalo would be silver, if I have that correct. But
Gray, silver,
somewhere in that neighborhood, which, all right, if you're going to go with a gray, silver, you couldn't do that with the numbers, though. I'm trying to picture how that would look with everything else.
I'm thinking, for some reason, the only helmet that I have in my mind of what they could do with the Bills logo, a white helmet with gray and silver, I think of Boise State. I know that they're completely different colors, but you know how they enlarge the Bronco logo on their helmet to the point where you're looking and you're like, I don't even know what I'm looking at. That's my fear, is that they're going to do that with the Bills logo. Tilt it, enlarge it to the point where you're looking and you're like, is that what I think it is? Is that the Bills logo?
Well, what I think they're going to do is that they're going to go with white and some sort of gray silver, and you're trying to make this a City Connect sort of thing. Aren't you saying, hey, it's cold here? There's going to be like icicles, right? Or something like that where you're going to have to, and again, the numbers, the lettering.
Like the Vikings and the Packers did last year.
You have to have some color on it. So do you go with the blue just for that, and you're just going to go with a different kind of monochromatic look? There's some people that are really upset online today. Now, let me state my position here. I'd like to see the Buffalo Bills in red helmets, but, you know, on my list of concerns right now, that's not anywhere near the top. They don't listen to us. When are they going to listen to us? Stop with that.
Yeah, we've run out of problems.
Yeah.
We've really run out of problems. Now, remember the Sabres? Remember we had the royal blue. Everybody wanted the royal blue for years and years and years, and they finally gave them the royal blue. Did it really result in any sort of change?
At least from that standpoint, Danger, like you were sucking on the ice. All right, here you go. like this isn't the case.
Yeah.
If anything, I'm a little more upset that we're going to go down the City Connect path here in the NFL. I think the NFL needs to do something like this, but probably they'll end up selling a ton of merch, everything else.
Oh, the collectibles market.
Oh, yeah.
And you got the white helmet. It looks so nice. limited edition. Get that signing. It prints so well. Sharp. With the Sharpie. Yeah. I'm excited to see what it looks like, what they come up with. But I'll be all right that it's not a red helmet. I don't know. I think some people just need to be upset in order to be happy.
That's it.
And just one other bit of hot uniform talk. We learned today that this
not hot uniform.
It is not. 1933 throwbacks for the Steelers coming up here in Week 8. The black and yellow stripes. They look like bumblebees out there with the yellow helmet.
Anything that makes Aaron Rodgers look dumb on the field, I'm in favor of. Like the kid, hey, Bills fan, you're upset about the red helmets. Okay, it could be worse. Let's look at Pittsburgh and point and laugh. Okay, this is where you're wore in 1933. Who's buying that?
Steeler fans will buy that.
Oh,
Again, maybe for the collectible, maybe just.
Who bought the Giants one last year when they were like red and blue Michigan?
The Canadians, the Montreal Canadiens.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah. Will people buy those jerseys? Yeah, I think they will. Otherwise, they would stop making them the way they do.
The other story from the NFL today, and when you have a negotiation and then the owner is going to give you an update on the negotiation and why it isn't happening, do you believe the owner, in this case, Mike Brown in Cincinnati, or are you looking at the sideways saying, yeah, you're kind of cherry picking here, buddy? It's an interesting story, though, that the Bengals find themselves in this position. Once again, Mike Brown today getting upset, saying that there are some things, he's calling it a form of foolishness. There is some language that Stewart's representation wants, guarantees in a contract that, well, should he not be available, say, for example, be arrested or something along those lines, that he still would get his money.
Conduct detrimental to the team.
Yes.
So if it's conduct detrimental to the team, should he still be entitled to his guaranteed money? The Bengals say no. And just at first blush, when you hear that, you're like, yeah, that makes sense. I mean, if the guy's in jail, he's not playing football for you, why would you want to pay him? And that's kind of Mike Brown's stance. When you put it that plainly, it kind of makes Shamar Stewart look dumb. Like, what are you planning on getting arrested? Are you planning on hitting your girlfriend? What are we talking about here?
Well, that's the part of this where, okay, here I am. Yes, I'm going to make you look dumb. You're sending this backwards when the idea should be, let's sit down. What would Lee Steinberg say about this? Let's sit down. Let's figure out a deal. Okay? Like, you're not going to get in trouble. All right? We won't put this in. There you go.
The Bengals also have that Trey Hendrickson albatross hanging over their head too. So the Bengals are an interesting team to pay attention to here during training camp.
I don't think he shows.
I'm surprised Micah Parsons showed, to be honest with you. Micah Parsons should not have shown up to Cowboys camp. Should not. But he's and Jerry Jones, I appreciate that he's being a good teammate. But like when the conversation comes of signing these guys, at the right time, at the appropriate time. For Jones to say some of the things he said today about signing some of the players that he has in this roster, maybe too prematurely, because they haven't been available or they haven't lived up to the terms of their contract.
Let's see what happens with Parsons, because Parsons, kind of in a weird way, was probably very, very pleased to see that Watt got signed.
Oh.
And I'm going to be at camp, and you're going to have to overpay for me. So everything is nice here in July. How is it going to be in the third, fourth week of August when there's no deal done yet?
There's also something on the horizon in terms of how we consume the NFL that could be changing in short order. And it's been rumored for months, maybe even years now, that NFL media, and we know NFL media has been up for sale for some time.
Yeah, they're not making money on the NFL Network and everything around it. This is not their core business. So you've had rumors of like a merger with ESPN, things along those lines.
There's a special league meeting that's being proposed for August that could solidify a merger between ESPN/Disney and NFL media. So what does that mean for you? It probably doesn't mean anything, but in terms of in the future with ESPN having NFL media, good luck getting ESPN's rights to the NFL away from them if you're another streamer, if you want something else.
Well, part of me thinks, why did ESPN opt out of the deal with baseball? Now, you could say, well, it's baseball. It's summer, and it's a huge piece of programming, and it does make a lot of money, but you need to clear the decks here for the NFL in a way. And there are clues along the way. I'm sure that if you're looking at your phone, you keep seeing these feeds. My goodness, look at this amazing catch by this 14-year-old, the flag football championship.
Yeah.
All of a sudden that ends up like, why are we watching flag football with a bunch of kids?
Pretty nice catch.
It's children out there. Who cares?
It's football.
No, this is what
football.
we want. We want football year round, and we're going to have football and Disney. Yeah, you want this deal done? Broadcast this.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
They're probably doing the flag football thing down at Disney too, right? At the ESPN complex.
I would assume, yeah. Oh, everybody makes money all around.
Well, you need a deadline for a deal to get done, and maybe it is this special league meeting that's being called in August. I think they meet 4 times a year. This would be an offshoot where they could probably all get together and say, yeah, we want to do this. Let's go ahead and sell off NFL media to ESPN.
I don't think it's a great thing, and here's why. I mean, ESPN these days is, okay, it's not what it was, but you still do have guys like Wickersham and Van Etta. Like, when this does go through, are you really going to get any objective journalism out of ESPN? That would be it. No. Obviously, the answer is no. That would be it.
I wonder if that's a sticking point. You know, this deal probably could have got done a while ago, but what are the terms? What are they really talking about?
Who has the editorial control?
Right.
I would think there would be stories the NFL wouldn't want you to know. We're not
yes.
talking about.
Yes, there would be plenty of those.
We're not talking about that.
No. We got to get to a round of shots next in the sports bar.
Fantastic weekend of golf. We will talk a little bit about that. The NBA players still going. Got a little basketball. We got the Yankees opening a big series north of the border as well. And yes, a little hockey story. What if like the best in the game today just showed up and played beer league hockey? That would never really happen, would it?
I mean, my knee hurts just thinking about it. I love it. Let's talk about it. Shots on the way. Don't forget about last call. You can have the final word in the sports bar. 866-4326 is our number. 585-866-4FAN.
update.
It's Bills training camp week. The team reporting tomorrow. First practice coming up on Wednesday morning. News around the league. Titans quarterback Will Levis out for the season. Levis with a shoulder injury. He will have surgery. The Red Wings are back home this week, beginning tomorrow night, opening a series at home against Scranton Wilkes-Barre. As far as their parent club, the Yankees and Jays start a 3-game series tonight north of the border. Toronto with a 3-game lead in the division. Aaron Judge knows it's a tough opponent.
They're a good ball club, so they've been playing good ball all year. So, anytime you play in the East, especially the AL East, it's going to be a gauntlet. There's every team's usually always in it, so you have to be ready to go.
Mets tonight host the Angels. Sports brought to you by GetMyPerks.com. Get a $50 certificate for half price to Lasertron in Henrietta. Gene Battaglia and the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
Bills fans, Odyssey is your home for football. Stay up to date on everything Bills, no matter where you are, with the Odyssey app and the sports leader, The Fan, Rochester.
Welcome back to the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia. As we do every day at this time, serving up a round of shots.
Scotty Scheffler.
That's it.
Star. Yeah, that's shots today, folks. He became just the 4th player in the Open Championship history to shoot 68 or better in all 4 rounds. 17 under. Danger's now got 3 of the 4 legs of the career Grand Slam. The only one he's missing is the U.S. Open. He also became just the 3rd golfer ever to win multiple majors by 4 or more strokes in a single year. The other 2 guys, Ben Hogan and Tiger Woods.
So this was the eerie coincidence that I saw shared with this championship win by Scotty Scheffler yesterday. It's his 4th major. He won his 4th major here yesterday, 1,197 days after he won his first. And the distance between majors numbers 1 and 4 for Tiger Woods, the same 1,197 days. What we're seeing out of Scotty Scheffler, I know a lot of people say, well, this, he's not Tiger. I'm saying this. Yeah. He doesn't attract me to the sport the way Tiger did. I'm not as compelled by Scotty Scheffler. And I just kind of think his personality is milquetoast, although he did give us some interesting sound this last week. He's that right now. He's that guy. He's Tiger Woods.
29.
Yeah.
He is just entering the prime right now. And when you say, oh gosh, he's on that same timeline sort of as Tiger.
As far as his majors won, yeah.
Yeah. And what was the knock last year? Well, he's not doing against the the best in the world.
Not only that, but you're hearing them now. You're hearing other golfers on the tour acknowledge and recognize Scheffler is a demon. Like, if he's on the leaderboard, it's bad news for the rest of us. He's now mentally and maybe it's strategic. Maybe some of what he was saying about the unsatisfying elements of winning as much as he's winning, maybe that's psychological, so that other players can be like, yeah, I'm winning and it's not a big deal. Once I win, I'm on to the next one and I don't get to enjoy the time. What's the point? I'm just going to go out here. I'm not even trying anymore. I'm just on to the next one as soon as I win a major.
I mean, for folks who forgot, Golden Bear with 18, Tiger with 15, Walter Hagen with 11. So right now, how are we feeling with Scotty Scheffler before turning 30 with 4? I don't think he gets to Tiger danger. That's a huge ask. 11 more in his career.
Yeah. Well, and I think Tiger had the advantage of starting as young as he did, right, Scotty?
Yeah.
Scotty coming on here over the last couple of years, but real impressive, man. And even when we left on Friday, I'm like, I want to watch the Open. I tuned in yesterday morning, and I saw his first few holes. I'm like, this dude ain't losing today. I can turn this off and know that comfortably he is going to win just based on how he came out of the gate yesterday for that last round of the Open.
Would have been fun, though. Had Bryson DeChambeau actually shot something decent in the first round. How many golfers would have packed it in after an opening round of 78? DeChambeau didn't do that. He was tied for 144th. He ended up in the top 10. 7th time in his last 11 majors, he's finished in the top 10. His final round is 64, tied for the best in the tournament. And with the finish, he's also clinched a spot in points for the upcoming Ryder Cup.
Lots of red, white, and blue in that top 10, even in that top 5. I mean, we even saw a redemption for, was it Wyndham Clark?
Wyndham Clark has apologized, and he
every gentleman should.
He says it's a no-brainer. I will pay Oakmont, and the rest is up to them. And whatever the charity is, I'll be happy to donate. I am Wyndham Clark. I'm sorry I lost my temper that way.
I mean, you don't know what he sounds like, but you assume that Wyndham Clark would sound just like that, Gino. That's a good impersonation. I don't even know if that's what he sounds like.
Like
but
what? Like if you had a buddy named Wyndham, what's his name?
I can't even fathom the idea. That's how wealthy that name sounds. I can't even fathom having a relationship, a buddy named Wyndham. That doesn't even enter the realm of existence in my life. Can you imagine? What are you doing? Yeah, we're going to go get some wings with Wyndham. Meeting up with Wyndham to watch the game. Doesn't even compute.
Is that a character from Trading Places? Wyndham.
Mortimer, Wyndham. Mortimer would be a Morty. Like, I could say, like, Morty's going to hang out. We're going to go watch the game with Morty. I can't even fathom the wealth that comes with a name like Wyndham.
You can't shorten Wyndham up to anything.
Win? We're going to hang out with Win.
Yeah, Win.
That doesn't sound right. It's just it's the perfect golf name. It's right in line with Davis Love the Third. It's right in line with Bryson DeChambeau. It's just a perfect golf name. Wyndham Clark. Oh, my God. Amazing.
Well, growing up, I would lose my temper, and they would just have the servants take care of it.
Oh, my God.
Chris Paul is coming back for a 21st season. He signed a one-year deal with one of his former teams, the LA Clippers. Paul's now 40 years old. I believe it's going to be his last season coming up. He spent last year with the Spurs, played all 82 games in San Antonio, became the first player to play 82 games in a season in his 20th or later year.
Ageless wonder. I'm trying to remember as far as like longevity in the league. Vince Carter is like the most recent.
He's a king, yeah.
And I mean, look, we should probably put some respect on LeBron's name and appreciate him. I mean, he's going to be another guy that's, I mean, how many years has he been in the league now, too? Yeah. These guys have some serious longevity.
Like you're getting old, let's say, if you're Kevin Durant, he is first year with the team that no longer exists, the Seattle Supersonics. Chris Paul was a New Orleans Hornet.
Oh, wow, that's right.
And this is how crazy it was. He was traded to the Lakers, and David Stern blocked that. Do you remember? For what? Because he didn't want to make the Lakers that good? What was the basis for that?
Crazy. Well, he's still at it. Good for him. Back to L.A. For a second stint with the Clippers. 21st season.
For a July midweek series, this is interesting. Could we get the Yankees pulling even in the AL East, or are we going to get Toronto putting their foot on the gas? Airing tonight, the Blue Jays lead the Yankees by 3 games in the division. Carlos Rodon going for the Bombers against Kevin Gossman of the Jays.
Yeah, things are tightening up. Dodgers get swept by the Brewers.
Wow. Like, what is wrong with
Brewers?
The Dodgers?
What's up with the Brewers? The Brewers are on fire right now. They're unstoppable. But, yeah, the Dodgers getting swept by the Brewers.
And, look, I'll say what it is. The Mets are farting around. They are farting around. You can't be losing 2 or 3 to Cincinnati. Not very pleased.
Right. Well, let's see what the Yankees have in them here. Because, this has the potential to be a course of the season altering series here.
For all the beer league hockey players out there, Danger, I still consider you one because
been a while, man.
Someday you'll get. Been a while.
It's been a while.
It doesn't matter. You can just go out there and.
No, I'm saying it's been a while since I would consider myself a beer league hockey player. I mean, the beer league hockey player in me, I think, died a little bit when I tore my ACL.
When was the last time? Was it the cross-check cancer game? Was it the last one?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. What we're talking like 9 years ago now.
Yeah. That's
8
great.
years ago, 9 years ago. So, okay. Sorry, I digress. It's a show about me playing beer league hockey.
Well, why I'm bringing this up, this actually happened over the weekend in Newmarket, Ontario. And for longtime Amherst fans, you'll remember the Newmarket Saints, right? Just outside of Toronto. Getting onto the ice dressed in Edmonton Oilers practice jerseys were none other than Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. And this wasn't for a reality show or anything like that. McDavid played on the rink as a kid, and probably this didn't go the way you would think it would. McDavid and Draisaitl found themselves on the ice on a team down 4-0 at the end of the first period. They eventually lose this game 6-2. Both pros just looking to set up others, not really competing that hard, just trying to avoid contact.
Well, and that's the thing, man. I mean, in playing in these charity games, you're playing against Amerks alumni, guys that haven't played professionally in years, and they still just make it look effortless. If they actually tried, it'd be like, whoa, it's insane how skilled these guys are on ice. And with McDavid and Draisaitl out there, just kind of like farting around, not really trying, just looking to set up guys.
Can you imagine if one of those two guys got hurt doing this, though?
Oh my God. Yeah. No, that would not be a
probably.
fun story.
If you're a fan in Edmonton, you're like, what are we doing? Stop.
Well, at the same time, though, I mean, part of their off season has to be getting on the ice and trying to get as much action in as you can get. You probably would like to do that under a team supervised thing. If the team might find offense. Can you imagine being the beer league guy who got one over on McDavid or Draisaitl? I mean, how many beers are you drinking at the bar after that game? Yeah, I went stride for stride with the best player in the world. I mean, the team that won that game, there's a celebration to be had afterwards. We just took down McDavid and Draisaitl. What's next? Start your own beer league. Fun stuff. That's shots. We have last call on the way next. Big show tomorrow to set you up. It'll be our final show before we get to Buffalo Bills training camp on Wednesday. And, of course, when we're at camp, we will have our full slate of guest interviews. You can let us be your ears and eyes at St. John Fisher University. We'll keep you updated on everything. We'll close up shop with last call next. Your call's at 866-4326, 585-866 4FAN.
95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
Last call at 866-4FAN. You can have the final word, 866-4326.
So, it is kind of the season for tags, right? It was this time last year we had some anonymous scouts say that Josh Allen was the most overrated player in the NFL. Well, he followed that up with an MVP. This was Ryan Clark today on ESPN when asked the question, which team has the most pressure on it this year to win a Super Bowl? What do you think his answer was?
Well, we're a Bills-centric show, so I imagine it's the Bills.
I would have thought the Bills, too. He says Baltimore. The Ravens have walked into the playoffs as a number 1 seed. They've hosted the AFC Championship. There's a team that has a Super Bowl winning coach, a team that has a number 1 defense. Yeah. You have a 2-time MVP. And last year you had a 1,900-yard rusher. Now you lost Zay Flowers late in the season, which was big. Honestly, I when you lay it out like that.
I don't disagree. I don't disagree. Like, if you could talk about Sean McDermott having pressure on him to get over the hump, right? We always talk about get over the hump. But if you're John Harbaugh, yeah, you've won the Super Bowl, but
2013,
a long time ago, and since then you have that. You have the 1 seed. You have the AFC Championship game at home, and you haven't gotten over the resume as far as getting over the hump is actually larger for Harbaugh and the Ravens than it is for McDermott and the Bills.
It's a team that does everything right. Well, they got off to a really weird start last year. Remember, they lost really a nice game in terms of just, okay, it was Kansas City being Baltimore, but it was just a great game. And they go home and lose to the Raiders? Mm-hmm. That actually happened. So, to me, that's a little concerning because, okay, that should be fresh in their mind, like how last year ended, remembering how last year started. I think it's a tough spot for Buffalo in this opener. I really do.
I think the opener is a tough spot. And as we've seen with the Ravens, it feels like they kind of fade down the stretch. I don't know if it's Lamar. Like, I want to say that there's a trend where Lamar down the stretch just isn't the same player that he is early in the season, that, it might just wear on him after a while, that he just doesn't make all the right decisions. I mean, we certainly saw, Lamar get tricked and fooled by the Bills defense, in that divisional round game that the Bills ended up winning. But
of the 3 turnovers, really only one I would put on is that first interception. The second one, okay, your line's not blocking for you, and then Mark Andrews fumbles. But 1 turnovers in a game like that, you can't do that.
That's it. That's the margin for error. I mean, when they turned the ball over in that game, that was when I realized the Bills are going to win this game because you can't. The margin for error is just too thin, and you just gave the Bills an extra possession. That offense is going to score. I mean, look, the second half of that game, I think we all kind of like, oh, you let them back into the game. But you get the win. I agree with that, actually. I think the Ravens do have more pressure to get to the Super Bowl than the Bills do.
So we get to January and like, oh, well, didn't happen in Buffalo. Like, at what point are the Bills going to be number 1 on this list? It's
right.
I mean, you can make an argument for a GM and a head coach that have been here, this is 8 years?
Yeah, but you're saying the same thing in Baltimore with Lamar Jackson, right? Like, Lamar came into the league same year as Josh Allen. We're wasting his prime years. He's not going to be this good forever. When are we actually going to get to see him on the biggest stage in the game? And we haven't seen it yet. It's close, but I think the Ravens do have a little bit more pressure than the Bills do. That Harbaugh championship is one hell of a deodorant for them kind of falling apart in the postseason every year.
If he doesn't win that championship, he's not the head coach today.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah, I think that it's like an immunity. It is. Like, you win something, hey, got that on my resume.
Yeah, I think to myself, what are the teams that have the widest variance of outcomes going into this season?
Well, Dallas, who you brought up.
Dallas is the one I brought up. Is there a team in the AFC that has a wide variance of outcomes that you can think of? Like, the Bengals feel like that team to me. Mm-hmm. Just because of how they're run as an organization. I just feel like dysfunctional teams often give you dysfunctional results.
I'm going to go with a team that's kind of close to Buffalo. Like, you can make a case that Drake May will take a step forward and they'll be a wild card team and they'll be 10-7. You can also make a case there's not a lot of talent around there, and things that like if the Patriots went 4-13, that's a variance.
A 5-win team with Mike Vrabel in his first year. Man, we're just bubbling with enthusiasm here as we get to training camp on Wednesday. Football is back,
and then tomorrow, Danger. What is 9 days after tomorrow? We have our first football game.
Oh, the Hall of Fame game.
Yes.
Nice.
It's in July, believe it or not.
We have 50 days until the Bills kick off.
That's it. Yeah.
50 days. Tomorrow we should also have news on the alternate helmet. We'll get confirmation. I know that's what everybody's waiting. The official end of the off season will conclude with the alternate helmet unveiling.
Danger. This used to be they would let in the early days of training camp, pull up a chair, everybody. Like every TV news crew would be there, and you'd see like Kyle Williams bringing in an air conditioner, and like you would have Bills news like move-in day, and it used to be a big thing. Now nobody. We don't need you reporting on that. Football.
Yeah.
No, we don't need reporting on everything else.
We'll talk to Matt Perino as we do every Tuesday afternoon at 3:25. Matt covers the Buffalo Bills for the Syracuse Post-Standard. You can hear Matt on the Shout podcast with Ryan Talbot, who joined us earlier this afternoon in the sports bar. And then joining us later tomorrow afternoon, 4:25. Always fun to catch up with our good pal, Chris Trapasso, who's got a new venture, the Trap Sheet on Substack. If you like Trapasso's analysis, and he certainly has the NFL draft covered and knows these prospects as they're coming into the league, we'll get Trapasso's take on the Buffalo Bills as they head into training camp starting on Wednesday, and then it all gets underway, man. We start drinking water from a fire hose from St. John Fisher University with daily shows live from Buffalo Bills training camp, practice reports, injury reports, player interviews with the front office, all of it. You can expect it as we do every year from Buffalo Bills training camp at St. John Fisher. We're really looking forward to that coming up here on Wednesday.
There's your music.
Let's pack it in. We'll be back tomorrow with a brand new episode. If you missed Ryan Talbot or Dan Mason, the GM of the Rochester Red Wings, use Rewind in the free-to-download Odyssey app. And remember that you can listen to the Sports Bar not just on Odyssey, but also iHeartRadio and TuneIn as well. Search us out, The Fan Rochester on YouTube, The Fan Rochester on Twitch. Like and subscribe while you are there. We appreciate everybody watching the live stream every afternoon from 3 until 6. JR Sport Brief is next. Have a great night.